Oh boy, that's fun. That game was fun, guys. Don't you think? Man, that was hell of a performance by the defense, I gotta say. I don't know how they were able to keep them in the game as long as they did, despite the fact the offense was just pedestrian. And hey, guys, just real quick, I want to get this out there because I don't know if I'm going to have a chance to do it throughout this show if I don't say it now. But hey, at least we didn't get that locker room cancer, Carson Wentz. Can't have that, right? Can't have that. At least we didn't get the locker room cancer in Carson Wentz. I'll take losing 20-3 every single week with Brett Rippen as long as we don't get Carson Wentz. Anyway, yeah, so unfortunately, what I said week one reared its ugly head. I said repeatedly since week one, this team needs to take their quarterback room more seriously. Carson Wentz, or not Carson Wentz, excuse me. I mean, he's available. But what I was going to say is Matthew Stafford last year, he suffered a, why am I not, oh, I'm totally blanking on it right now. The contusion of his, I can't even think, his back contusion, his spinal cord. He suffers a spinal cord contusion last year. And the Rams, you know what they did this year? They said, you know what? We're going to go out and get a rookie 4th round pick. And then our backup plan is Brett Rippen. Yeah, that'll show him. That'll show the NFL. About that. Look, this is a game that the Rams 100% should have won. 20-3 doesn't indicate how many opportunities this defense gave the offense. And if Matthew Stafford played this game, it's not even remotely close. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it for you. The Packers are a really, really bad team. And I didn't realize how bad of a team they were. Okay, I did not know that they were this bad. I started thinking about it last night, and I was just like, man, I do think the Rams are going to lose, but like the Packers are really bad. And so I went back on my word, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pick the Rams to win. The Packers are really bad, folks. I mean, historically bad. Not historically, but still really bad. And to lose this game when they just kept shooting themselves in the foot, just really sucks. But again, here's my complaint. I don't even know if I can blame Sean McVay for the play calling. I'm going to explain right now. But at the same time, I can blame Sean McVay because he had to have been in the room when he decided, yeah, Brett Rippen's going to be our backup in week one. Brett Rippen's not a backup. He is a third-string quarterback, and there are a lot of quarterbacks that should be in this league that clearly aren't in this league because they don't kiss ass like other backup quarterbacks do, okay? There's a lot of backup quarterbacks that aren't in this league that could start because they simply do things better than some of the other quarterbacks. Let me just tell you something right now. Do you know why quarterbacks like Sean Mannion, Brett Rippen, and quarterbacks like that, like backup quarterbacks that have been, Trevor Siemian, do you know why those guys last? Do you know why they're constantly in the league? Why they just go from team to team to team, just besides the fact that they clearly have connections with their agents? Here's a big thing, okay? Ready for this? It's going to blow your mind. They're not that good. That's it. Because here's the thing. Teams don't want to bring in a backup quarterback that is going to be a quarterback controversy. They believe in their starter. They're not trying to bring in a backup quarterback that is going to get the media on the backup quarterback side and cause a quarterback controversy. So that is why you see the same backups over and over and over and over and over again getting signed. That's why people like this exist. It's why they continue to stay around the NFL for 10, 12, 14 years, and they're not very good. That's why. Because if you're too good and you're not a starter, you're a distraction. The best players, the best 53, that's hogwash. The best 53 don't make an NFL roster. Not all the time. There are probably 10 quarterbacks that aren't in the NFL right now that are better, 100% better than Brett Rippen. and 100% better than dress or win. So look, I'm not going to stick too much on the backup quarterback thing. But man, if they had John Wolford today, they win this football game. And please set your recency bias aside. I understand he got Cooper Kupp hurt, high throw against the Cardinals. That's what people remember. Go back and look at John Wolford play against the Seahawks last year at SoFi. He gave him every chance to win that game, and they lost at the very end. Okay? You can't tell me for a second John Wolford doesn't win this game. Because if you do think that John Wolford doesn't win this game, then you think the Rams are a top 3 bad team in the league, and they're not. This game would have been won by John Wolford, and it might have been won by Bryce Perkins. Brett Rippen, I counted, made 3 good throws, 2 great throws. That was it. That's all he did. Everything else was pretty bad. And let me just make this very clear. I can't blame Sean McVay entirely for the play calling. I can blame him for keeping Rippen on the roster as the backup. I can't blame him for the play calling, and here's why. Guys, how do you run the football when your running backs can't run the football? It wasn't their fault, okay? This defense didn't trust Brett Rippen to throw the ball. So they stacked the box. And when they stacked the box, now we're seeing it. You're putting 9 guys in the box consistently. Yeah, your running backs aren't doing. I don't care who you have. I don't care if it's Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Todd Gurley in his prime. If they stack the box on that level, you're not getting through. You're maybe averaging 3 yards per carry. So for the people that were calling out Matthew Stafford as the reason the Rams were losing last week and the week before, well, I hope you realize now what you were missing when Stafford is not on the field. Because Stafford affects defenses pre-snap before he has even thrown the football. By Stafford, by seeing number 9 under center, by seeing him in the shotgun or the pistol, you know that Matthew Stafford can throw all over the field. He can make any given throw, and you have to respect that. And that's why defenses don't play a full, engage 8. They don't throw 9 guys in the box consistently against the Rams. This is probably the most I've ever seen a sacked box against the Rams running backs. It's because the Green Bay Packers knew that the Rams didn't believe in Brett Rippen, and the Packers weren't going to believe in Brett Rippen. So there's no need to have to defend the pass. There's no need to have to play light fronts and allow them to run the ball when Brett Rippen is a liability as a passer. And what does that do? Well, now you can't run the ball. So that now they have you stuck passing it. And your offensive line, both tackles, Alaric and Joe Noteboom, were getting beat consistently. So when you have that and they're getting in on a 3-man rush, there's not much else you can do. So yes, credit Rippen for those 3 throws he made. They were very good. But the grand scheme of things, he would have to be able to make 3 throws a game that are really good if he's in the NFL, right? Otherwise, how is he any different than you and I? It's frustrating because the defense played so well, and it's not going to get the credit it deserves, but they played so well. They kept it a close game throughout the entire game. And I'm sorry, you can't have 2 turnovers. You can't have 2 turnovers, and then after the 2 turnovers, your offense gets 0 points. Rippen was not doing enough. Rippen didn't, they had 10 first downs, chat. 5 of 14 from third down. They were averaging 3.4 yards per play. Sean McVay, his playbook was shrunken down to this because of Rippen. What else was he going to do? And so my thing is, and I'm constantly hearing how this team's tanking, this team doesn't care about winning, this team isn't good. Look, if you are seriously going to justify this team and why they should tank based on a game played on the road without their starting quarterback in Brett Rippen under center, then you're just reaching for a narrative. I'm as frustrated as you are losing this game, but I'm not going to sit here and make it out to be something that it's not. The Rams didn't just lose 20-3 to the Packers with Matthew Stafford under center. They lost 20-3 to the Packers without Matthew Stafford, Rob Havenstein, and Ernest Jones. They lost 20-3 against the Packers with Brett Rippen. They lost 20-3 to the Packers without a run game. They could not run the ball. The Packers lined up every single play. They're like, they're not throwing it. And even if they do, we're going to win the 3-man. We're going to win a 4-man rush. We're going to win our one-on-ones. I just don't think people get it. I'm not saying, when I say people, I don't mean everybody. But God, I had to get off Twitter because I saw some tweets and I'm just like, bro, learn the game. You do not know ball. If you think this team is tanking, if you think they're losing on purpose, if you think these players out here, watch the defense. If you think that defense was losing on purpose, you don't know ball. And it's okay. Just like admit it. I mean, good Lord. It's a frustrating game and I get that, but just there's no need to claim that this team is losing on purpose. Again, 2 turnovers and the offense gets nothing out of it. I thought Byron Young had a hell of a game. 2 sacks. Kobe Turner had a sack. Aaron Donald had a sack. Byron Young was huge in the run game, as was Aaron Donald. I thought Quentin Lake played well in the star. I thought Akella Witherspoon played well. Laurel Murchison, he should have had the sack, but then he made up for it with 2 key plays after that. Defense couldn't have been better, to be honest with you, considering the fact that they were on the field for 35 minutes of the game. I mean, Jordan Love was dinking and dunking. I mean, pretty much at this point, he had a few throws that were past the sticks, and, he had the deep throws down the field, a couple of those that he completed. But, I mean, for the most part, he didn't want to go down the field, and he had all day to throw. So this defense, like the coverage and everything, had to be tip-top. It's like, I think it was inconsistent pressure for sure, but, I mean, this is a game. They had every opportunity. The offense just didn't step up, and it's like, at that point, like I say to you guys, like, what do you want Sean McVay to do? There's just not much you can really do. There's not really an arsenal there. And it makes it incredibly difficult when your offense, your quarterback can't throw the ball down the field. He can't push the ball through the air. No team is going to, take that seriously. And if they don't take it seriously, then what they're going to do, as I said, is just put guys in the box. 8, 9 guys in the box. So that's what happened. The Rams move on to a bye week upcoming, week 10. Week 11, they come out of it. They face the Seahawks, who are coming off a blowout loss in Baltimore. Can't blame them. I think everybody's going to lose to Baltimore in a blowout from the NFC West, but there's that. But yeah, I think that, look, it's frustrating. 3-6. I'm not happy about it. I'm not going to say here I am. I mean, this is my full-time job, and most of my success is connected to the Rams. And when they lose, people stop caring and they just abandon their team. So I'm not exactly happy about it. I'm not happy that the viewership's going to go down. I'm not happy that, the revenue is going to go down. The interest in the team is going to go down. I'm not happy about that at all. Nothing about that makes me happy. Why should it? But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and act like the season's over, because it's not. There's still 8 games to go, and it's not like those 8 games are happening against the Dallas Cowboys, the 49ers, the Eagles, the Seahawks. I mean, they do have a Seahawks game, but the point is they're not playing that back half, that front half of their schedule. They're not playing down the back half. That's what we need to be cognizant of. These are winnable games upcoming, and today was just about as winnable as it gets, but of course, the Packers got lucky and didn't have to play against Matthew Stafford. Because today, I'll tell you right now, it would have been a 30-10 ball game with Matthew Stafford under center. I mean, they were getting every look possible. Everything was available for them, and Brett Rippen couldn't get it done. So they absolutely win this game with Matthew Stafford. First off, I will debate you all day if you think that they weren't going to win this game with Matthew Stafford, because you're wrong. That's the first thing. The second thing is, look at the games they have upcoming. I mean, they got Seattle. They already beat by 17. They're going to be tough. Don't get me wrong. They can win that game, though. They could beat the Cardinals. They could beat the Browns. They could beat Washington. They could beat the Saints. They could beat the Giants. If you don't think they can beat those teams, then you just think this team is like historically bad, and they're not. It's the narrative, man. It's the tank for Caleb narrative rearing its ugly head again. It's the fact that people want the USC quarterback or they want Drake May. They're not thinking logically. The bottom line is, without Matthew Stafford, that defense kept him in the game 3.5, maybe almost, I'd say going into the fourth quarter, they kept him in the game with Brett Rippen as backup quarterback. You can't just judge this team based off today. Matthew Stafford, Rob Havenstein, and Ernest Jones were out. Those are three of their key pieces. There's too much knee-jerk reaction. I get it. I understand it. It's frustrating. I mean, how frustrated do you think I am? I mean, I'm very frustrated. But we gotta be mindful of the fact that this season is not over. There's 8 games left, and it's not to say that they're gonna make the playoffs, but let's stop acting like they're gonna get a top 5 pick, because they're not. They're not that bad. They're not that bad. Is this team good? I wouldn't say they're good. I would say they're a middling team with the potential to be good. I think they're set up very well for next year. Of course, people don't want to admit that. It's just sulking and fire Sean McVay and fire Raheem Morris, and Matthew Stafford's the problem, even when Brett Rippen comes out and proves that Matthew Stafford was never the problem. And that's just how it is. And I understand it's the way like fans act, but it's a little ridiculous, man. You know, I mean, at some point or another, like you have to, I understand you want to push a narrative. And again, when I say I understand you, it's not all of you. I'm saying the people that I'm talking to right now are the people that are pushing the narrative. If you want to push the narrative to tank, fine, but just be realistic. If you're saying this team's done and they're bad and they're trash and all this, and you're judging them based on them playing with Brett Rippen at quarterback for the first time all season, that's not fair. That's not real analysis. That's an incredible bias there. So I'll say that. But yeah, just I don't know. Today was frustrating. Samuel Jackson calling for McVay's head. Yeah, I'm genuinely concerned the LA fans are gonna run Sean McVay out of town. I don't think people realize they're not aware of how amazing Sean McVay is as a coach. And also, we need to understand the difference. Okay, you can be a sub-average play caller and still be a good head football coach. A football coach isn't just a guy that calls the offensive plays. As a matter of fact, most head coaches don't even call offensive plays. So let's stop with that. Because if you want to criticize Sean McVay's play calling, which I have, and that's fair to do, you can't say he's not a good head coach. I am so tired of hearing that we should fire Sean McVay. Sean McVay's not a good head coach. I don't care how upset you are. Do you know how hard it is to win a Super Bowl? He went to 2 in his young 7-year career so far. And most of you, not you guys, but again, the fan base in general, most of you literally said we hired a frat boy and he's not going to work. It's not going to work. We hired a frat boy. We should have hired Matt Patricia. We should have gotten Kyle Shanahan. The same Kyle Shanahan you're bagging on for not being able to get it done in the big game. Look, it's been frustrating the last 2 years. This year's been really frustrating because this team isn't as injured as last year, but it seems like the ball just doesn't bounce their way. In this game, it did. They got stops. The ball bounced their way. They got some turnovers, and the offense was pedestrian. It's frustrating, man. It really is. And I understand your pain. I understand your frustration. I understand why you don't want to buy tickets to go to SoFi. I understand it. I get it. Jerry, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you. Fernando, thank you for the 2. I know. Quintana, thank you for the 2. Appreciate you guys. I'm just being honest, guys. I think it's a lot of reactionary stuff. I don't think there's any, there's no logistics to it. I just think, I think the important thing, to be honest here, is that we have seen Scott Linehan, Joe Vitt, Steve Spagnuolo, the end of the Mike Martz era. Maybe not everybody, but if you've been following the Rams as long as I have, or longer, then you know. The Rams were the greatest show on turf in St. Louis. They win the Super Bowl. Dick Vermeil retires, then wants to come back, but it's too late. Mike Martz is the guy, so then he goes to the Chiefs. Mike Martz and that team falter. They lose in divisional round, double overtime against Steve Smith and the Jake Delhomme-led Panthers that went to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. They lose to the Saints. That was actually before, I believe. They lost to the Saints. Hakeem dropping the football. They beat Seattle. They lose to the Falcons. T.J. Duckett, Warwick Dunn, Michael Vick. They lost 47-17. So we see kind of the demise of the greatest show on turf Rams. So quick, success comes out of nowhere. Kurt Warner, all of that. Then they fall off. And then the fall off is horrible, where it's just a flat line. It's 8-8, 7-9, 2-15, or 2-14, 1-15. It was bad. Getting Jason Smith, getting Chris Long at 2 overall, getting Sam Bradford at 1 overall. I've watched bad football. Okay. Jeff Fisher, Steve Spagnuolo. If you didn't watch that, then you don't understand. But if we're still on the topic of, I think Sean McVay should be on the hot seat, I think you need to go back and watch the Sosar Rams. I think you need to go back and watch Keith Null throw the football. Jeff Smoker, Todd Brandstater, Gus Farrat, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I remember how excited I was that this 7th-round rookie out of Harvard, Ryan Fitzpatrick, won the game against the Texans after Mark Bulger went down with an injury. Austin Davis. Remember how excited I was when he came in. I was like, oh my God, Austin Davis, the way he could work off script and everything. This is awesome. If you really think that Sean McVay should be fired, you think Sean McVay should be on the hot seat, if you think Sean McVay is a problem long-term and needs to be dealt with, you need to go back and see how bad it was in St. Louis. Or better yet, if you're new here, you're a new LA fan, and you started following them in 2016, remember 2016? That was pretty bad. Jeff Fisher, 4-12 football team. They start off 3-1, and then they only win 1 game the rest of the year. I was at that game, by the way. Oh, and that was another thing. I was at a Jets-Rams game. Bryce Petty versus Case Keenum, and they won 9-6. So, look, it could always be worse. It's frustrating now. I get it. This is not what they are. It's not like the Rams came out and, laid an egg 20-3 with Matthew Stafford at the helm, with Rob Havenstein at right tackle, and Ernest Jones at inside linebacker. And you know why it's not like that? Because that's not possible. This team is not as bad as they're made out to be. If they were, they wouldn't have been competitive with the defending NFC champion Eagles. They wouldn't have been competitive with the Niners. They wouldn't have beat Seattle by 17. They wouldn't have beaten the Colts, come back after literally doing nothing in the second half, come back and win an OT. They wouldn't have been in the game against the Bengals. They wouldn't have been in the game against the Steelers and should have beat the Steelers. If they were as bad as you guys say, and again, you guys, not everybody, but just the people that I'm talking to that say this, if they were as bad as you truly believe, they wouldn't be in these games. Because teams, whether you realize it or not, don't lose every game close. Bad teams that end up picking first get obliterated throughout the season. They lose by 30 points multiple times throughout the season. This is not the worst team in the league. This is not a top 5 worst team. And I don't even think it's a top 10. I think right now, they are getting to the easy part of their schedule, and the first game of the easy part of their schedule against the Packers, they unfortunately did not have their starting quarterback, right tackle, or inside linebacker, and they missed their quarterback so graciously that it made it easy for a historically bad run defense and a team that's just not good to win on the road or to win at home. So that's my thoughts. And again, people are going to disagree. People want to sulk after the Rams lose. They don't want to think. They just want to sulk. They want to be upset, and they don't want to hear reason. I'm trying to be honest with you. I'm not making excuses. This isn't acceptable. They should have won this game. I can't stress that enough. They should have won this game. But they didn't. So instead of me just rehashing, yeah, by the way, they lost, and this is why they lost, why don't I try to offer some value? You know? Try to show you the light, if you will. It's not all bad. This team was never going to win the Super Bowl in 2023. Okay? I told you this. I said this. But Jake, you had them at 10-7, which is funny because on Twitter, by the way, that 10-7 turned into 12-5 and then 13-4. And I'm like, all right. People love misquoting me all the time. It's hilarious at this point. But the 10-7 doesn't equate Super Bowl. 10-7 doesn't even equate winning a playoff game. It just means that they're going to be competitive, be exciting, because what we totally lose sight of, and I see it more and more than ever, because people are now saying, well, I would rather have a top 5 pick than have a middle of the road pick. Yeah, that's great. I didn't wait 9 months to cover a team that was losing on purpose. Okay. And furthermore, I didn't wait 9 months. What I find one of the most entertaining things is football and my team playing football. I didn't wait 9 months to watch them lose on purpose. That's not entertaining. You guys forget this is an entertainment business. This is an entertainment industry. That's why they don't allow you to tank. When people are like, oh, yeah, they're tanking. You can't tank. It's the NFL. You can't tank. They'd find out. The investigation would go so far, you would not be able to tank. They're not tanking. No one is tanking. You can't tank in the NFL. Every time I said that about the Cardinals, I was joking. You can't tank in the NFL. The NFL, basically will look after that. You can't tank in the NFL. They will go and they will research and they will find out if you're tanking, you're going to lose those draft picks that you think you're acquiring because of tanking. You can't tank. And you know why? Because the business is so cutthroat. Cam Akers today looks like he might have suffered his second Achilles tear. His career could be over. How disrespectful would it be if the Vikings, during this Achilles tear, while they were playing him, comes out later on, yeah, they were tanking. Think about that. And that's what people don't think about. Is that players put their bodies on the line. They put their lives on the line. Look at Damar Hamlin last year. You're going to tell me that in this type of sport, a team would be throwing in the towel on purpose? And you don't think that would have backlash and serious implications? No. The NFL covered this base years ago. You cannot tank. You can't do it. It's not possible. And there's no way the Rams are tanking. It's ridiculous. Again, watch the defense. Your defense isn't playing that hard if they're trying to lose on purpose. I'm just saying. Oh, man. It's just absolutely ridiculous to think tanking is the thing. But, I mean, to each their own. Just like, well, and actually kind of the funny narrative was, it was tank for Caleb, tank for Caleb, tank for Caleb. And now that Caleb is starting to kind of show, okay, maybe he's not the generational talent we thought. Now it's tank for May, Drake May. And it's like, wait a minute. The goalposts have moved. What is this tank for May crap? It was tank for Caleb and now it's tank for May, or it's, I can't. I think a lot of people really like college football that like the NFL. I think the Rams being on the West Coast, there are a lot of Pac-12 fans that watch a lot of Pac-12 football. And I think a lot of college football and Pac-12 fans like the idea of getting some of the guys they see on Saturdays. And that's fine. I mean, I'd love to see Romello Dotson from the Kansas Jayhawks on this team. I'd like to see Khalil Herbert. I'd like to see them draft both of them. Doesn't mean that it's, not because of, watching Kansas. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I'm if you guys can't tell, and you guys know, I keep it real. I keep it 100. I'm a straight shooter. I call it like it is. And I can't listen to the tank this, tank that. I don't want them to win. I'm glad they lost. Matthew Stafford's the problem. Sean McVay should be fired. Raheem Morris. Guys, Raheem Morris is just that plug and play excuse. People always use it. If you go through their season, Raheem Morris held the Seahawks offense, by the way, that has been explosive this year, to 12 yards and only one first down in the second half. They won 30-13 in Seattle. Raheem Morris's defense kept the 49ers, them in the 49ers game. The second half was just absolutely abysmal. They, of course, had to operate on a short field because of turnovers. The Bengals game, they held them to 19 points. The Rams couldn't get it done. The Colts game, they held them to 23. The Rams did get it done. The Eagles game, they gave them every opportunity to stay in that game. The offense didn't do anything and abandoned the run. They held the Cardinals to 9. They held the Steelers. Well, the Steelers got 24, but that's a game that the Rams should have won. And then the Cowboys game just got out of hand. And honestly, they didn't give up that many points, considering the fact that, if you really think about it, really good return from the special teams unit. You had a pick 6. Just a lot of different things that, of course, the defense gets blamed for. If you can't score more than 20 points in a game, that's on your offense. Case in point. I mean, if you lose 20-3 against the Packers, your offense didn't do enough. It's really that simple. So, again, really glad that the Rams avoided getting a locker room cancer in Carson Wentz, because I know they really solved all the problems there by sticking with Brett Rippen. So round of applause for the Rams by not going out and getting that locker room cancer in Carson Wentz, because winning football games, well, you don't want to be doing that, right? All right. So anyway, I'm a little annoyed, but we have some time. We're going to bring on some guests. We're going to have some people call in. And that'll be our show. I mean, I pretty much said everything I wanted to say. It's been a 30-minute show of me talking. I normally don't go this long, and I appreciate everyone waiting. Here we go. Rob Bart, thank you for the 5. The NFL is a tough business. I work in the industry with the 49ers, and everything has to be perfect for the fans or you will be fired. Yeah, absolutely. So you work for the 49ers. See, that's you're absolutely right. It's pretty brutal, and I hope you keep your job, and I hope you never have to worry about anything like that. So I'm wishing you all the best, Rob. But yeah, it's really brutal. I don't think people realize how cutthroat this industry is, and just, I feel like when I talk to former players, I mean, I get kind of the same thing, because keep in mind, I mean, Alexis and I have interviewed over 300 players at this point or whatever. I've interviewed over 400 in total. I've met a bunch of people at different events like the Senior Bowl. So I've talked to a lot, and I feel like, people just don't get the cutthroat nature of this business at all. Some of it is just absolutely brutal. Guys finding out that they were traded via social media because one of their brothers or sisters or mother, whatever, they're just hanging out at the house, kicking back, relaxing, repping the gear of their team, and then while they're swiping, they're texting their friends or whatever, or they're watching Netflix or something, a mother, a brother, a father, a sister comes up and says, "Hey, did you know you were getting traded?" And they're like, "Nope, no one told me that." And that's how they find out. That's kind of the industry, folks. That's the industry. Here's one for you. Kyle Sloter, my guy. Okay. He said it. He said it on my show. He was on the Raiders because John Gruden went out and got Kyle Sloter. So John Gruden likes Sloter, but you guys know what happened. John Gruden gets fired by the Raiders, or he has to step down because of all this stuff, the emails, right? And because he steps down, now Kyle Sloter doesn't have a job. And you're probably like, wait, Jake, what does that mean? That doesn't make any sense. Yes, it does. Because if you think about it, the reason he was in the building with the Raiders was because of John Gruden. That was his last genuine shot. The Jaguars signed him as a camp body to use him in a preseason game that they weren't actually going to give him a ton of reps in. And that was it. So that's the thing, guys. That's how this industry is. And it's cutthroat and it's not easy. And you have to have this margin for error. That's why you can't tank and all this stuff about backup quarterbacks that I said. You got to play the role. If you deviate away from the role, or sometimes a new GM pops in or a new head coach comes in, why do you think, William Hayes, who played well in 2016 and 2015, William Hayes isn't welcomed onto the Rams in 2017? They traded him away for like a 3 years later 7th round pick. Remember William Hayes from the St. Louis Rams? He didn't get a chance to be on that team. Sean McVay, Les Snead traded him away. He wasn't a fit. There's no negativity towards him. Same thing with Trey Mason. He never plays football again. Obviously that's a little different. Trey Mason had a completely different thing. But when you have all of these, different coaches and executives and all that, your spot is never guaranteed in the NFL. And so it's one of those things, man, where it's not as simple as, oh, he's bad because he can't get on a roster. You don't know why he's not on a roster. And also, I'll just say this real quick before I let people on. You don't know what the previous dude who coached this guy or an executive who was around this guy is saying about the guy. Because it's a recommendation, it's a recommendation industry. It's about who knows you, not who you know. You don't know how things go. You don't know what the coach said. Man, you don't know if you rub the coach the wrong way. You go to another team and all of a sudden that coach is phoning your other team like, yeah, this guy is a total, asshole and whatnot. And then all of a sudden failed physical, doesn't sign, never finds out why. It was actually his previous coach. And sometimes, here's another one. If you feel like maybe you let go of a player and you don't want him to come back and bite you, maybe you'll say something bad about someone else and be like, oh, well, he can't come back to bite us on another team and I won't lose my job for letting this guy go and having him be a success if I talk bad about him and they don't sign him. That stuff's real, man. I'm just saying that right now. If you think there's politics in this and politics in that, there's definitely politics in the NFL. There's definitely things that go on behind the scenes. So I don't even know how we got on that topic, but we did. Just figured I'd throw it out there. But anyway, Kyle Sloter could have absolutely done better than Brett Rippen today, so I don't want to hear it. Anyway, let's move on. Jack, what's good?
Oh, right. I'm first. Hi, Jake. How's it going?
You were not ready, were you?
No, I was not ready.
So, yeah, I'm gonna make these questions just kind of like quick hitter, right? So,
cool.
First question here: what were your thoughts on the game today?
Sucks. I mean, I'm gonna say right now, I'm glad that you're saying what you've been saying on this stream because, man, it's kind of like truth serum, Like I think Rams fans, there's some out there that definitely needed to hear what you've been saying about like we're not tanking at all. We're not. And I will admit I was a little guilty of some Raheem Morris slander. I was just pissed off at the fact that they kept allowing the it feels like every so often they're allowing like a 3rd down and 17 or a 3rd down and 21. That's the stuff that really makes me mad. But then every time I would say something about it, they would get a turnover. So, whatever's going wrong, like you've been saying, it's not for the lack of effort. It's not for a lack of defensive effort. It's just Brett Rippen is not Matthew Stafford, plain and simple. Offense just wasn't getting it done.
Yeah. And then let's see. What was the second question I was going to ask you? Oh, coming out of the bye, how are you feeling about this team?
That's a good question. I think we're going to have to check and see like what the health of some players are too, because obviously Stafford's the big injury, but like you mentioned, we were also dealing what was it? Havenstein was out, Ernest Jones was out. I'd hope that they're not out for too much longer. I think the bye week will certainly help with that.
I think they were held out on purpose just because they probably could have gone, but why risk further injury,
Yeah,
You already have a backup quarterback playing. Why risk it?
exactly. Let's see. Schedule coming out of the bye week. We got the Seahawks, Cardinals. I think they should win both of those games. I think a lot of opinions are going to change pretty quickly. I think if the Rams get these two big divisional wins, and then you got the Browns coming up next after that.
Yeah.
Probably not beating the Ravens.
No.
Probably beating the Commanders. I don't know. That one could go either way. The Saints game could go either way. I think I'm not going to make too many judgments about the rest of the season because obviously a lot can change between now and a couple of weeks. But I think a lot of opinions are going to be flipped after the next few weeks when they play these divisional teams that we know that they're capable of beating. So,
yeah, and
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and the thing I want to make very clear is if I'm wrong, guys, I'll own it. I own everything. Like, anytime I'm wrong, I'll literally make jokes about myself being wrong. Jack, I do it all the time when we're playing Warzone. I mean, like, if I'm wrong, I'll make fun of it. You know what I mean? You guys don't have to remind me because I'll probably tell you before you can even beat me to it. If
I do the
Rams,
same thing on Twitter.
Yeah, if the Rams are bad and they come out of the bye and they're just terrible, and I'll literally be doing the SpongeBob meme to myself, like, they're not tanking, they're not gonna tank. Like, that would be me, right? And I wouldn't be saying they are tanking, but it would make me look like a fool. And I will admit that, and I will stand by it. And I'm not one of those people that is just gonna say crap and just throw stuff at the wall and sees what sticks, and not hold myself accountable, because I've been doing that. I mean, like, what was it? Will Levis? I mean, I think I didn't really take him seriously, like the whole, the Mayo thing. But at the same time, like, all jokes aside, I had issues with him watching the tape and everything. I didn't think he was as good as everyone was saying. I had a late second round grade on him. And right now, like, I thought Will Levis looked really good against the Steelers, considering he had no offensive line. And I thought he looked really good in his rookie game. And that's me, like, admitting, okay, I might have been wrong about Will Levis, and I'll be the first person to say that. So, yeah, I just want to make that very clear. Like, this isn't like, oh yeah, Jake's just going to say this and then just like cover it up when they, he'll be quiet when they start losing. Like, no, Jack, if they start losing, I'll be the first one to point it out.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like, I'll be upset about it, sure, but I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, I didn't say that. Like, no. I know you're the kind of guy that's going to own up. I'm going to own up eventually. At some point, I'll make fun of myself for it. So, but yeah, no. Like, I was just making fun of myself just now when I said I was calling out Raheem, and he went and proved me wrong. So
you just did. It's called self-scouting, and you're good at it because you've done it multiple times. Final thing here. Say the Rams did go down a dark path and have a really high pick. Who are you picking in the draft? If you have anybody, if not, just give a position.
No, I don't. It's tough to say position, honestly, too, because I think edge is definitely a need for this team right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really just depends on the draft class too, because obviously the team it's been proven that the team has to address quarterback. If you don't think that they have to address the backup quarterback position, you're just wrong. I don't know. I think probably right now, off the top of my head, I'd say edge. I just don't. Obviously, Caleb Williams is looking like number one overall. I just think that this team has bigger needs right now in that area. So I'd look at edge.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I mean, I'm going to probably sign an edge if I'm the Rams, but just because I love the idea of getting like a Josh Uche. But yeah, I mean, if they don't sign anybody, then I would definitely not mind drafting somebody. I will say number one, first and foremost, over everything. And I will stand by this, Jack. I will. They need a left tackle more than I need oxygen. Okay, because I watched today and I like Alaric. That's my guy. We had some good back and forths, like as in we were both on the same side on Twitter. They need a more mobile left tackle. Today he got thrown around, and on that 4th and short, like, you can't even blame Royce Freeman because there was no hole, because it was occupied with Alaric Jackson's flopped body was literally blocking the lane. And then you had the Packers defender, I forget who it was, who was right in his face. So, I think left tackle to me is the number one. People will say quarterback, but left tackle can help your quarterback now with Stafford and can help your quarterback in the future with whoever that is.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think that's kind of something else that I was upset about today is the fact that the O-line just wasn't having a good day. Like Jackson, like you were saying, or Noteboom or whoever it was, like they were just letting these Packers pass rushers appear in the backfield on 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2. It's like, we as Rams fans are always yelling at the team, run the ball in those situations. It's not like they weren't trying to run the ball. The O-line just wasn't up to the task. So, yeah, I think that's a really good point you make.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jack, I don't know if I'll be gaming tonight, but throughout the week with the bye week, I'll definitely be doing more kick streams. So,
for sure.
Yeah, I'll see you around, my guy.
Let me know. Thanks for having me on.
Catch you later. Appreciate you.
No problem.
All right. So, Esteban, thank you for the 5. Appreciate that. Mark, thank you for the 5. Bro, let's get Caleb Williams. We shouldn't tank, but I'm getting Caleb an all-pro left tackle and give Matt and AD 2 more years like Caleb learned. Here's the thing, though. How are you getting an all-pro tackle, Mark? Because if you get Caleb Williams, like you're going to have to get lucky when you draft a tackle. Like it's not going to be like a guarantee that you're finding. And the best options in free agency, like as I brought up, Jonah Williams of the Bengals, who plays right tackle, and Garrett Bowles, who's over 30 now. To me, I think drafting a left tackle, whether that's Fashanu or Alt or Talis Fuega, who personally, that's my number one guy right now, the guy that I would be targeting because I think Fashanu is going to go too early. I think those are probably the best options. I think that needs to be a thing, But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, we move. Let's move on here. Rusty, how's it going?
What's good, Jake?
Not much, my guy. Quick disclosure here. My little cousins watch this show and would prefer for you to limit the F-bombs this time around.
All right, I can do that.
I had to go way too quick. I had to do that immediately because I know you were about to go on a rant. So
I understand, Jake. Yeah.
So first question, man. What are your thoughts on the game?
Subsided. Okay, as you were saying, I forgot. Sorry, Jake.
I think there's a delay in between us, but what were your thoughts on the game?
Well, I just knew from like the beginning of like this whole Stafford controversy, we're gonna lose this game. And what did I say about us when it comes to playing bad teams?
They played down to the competition,
and we played down to our competition. Rippen played like another garbage. I did not like him. I didn't even want to turn on my TV because I know the outcome of it. And then the Discord telling me like he threw really bad turnovers and like, my God, we can't be doing that. And it was just not. I just knew it was not worth me turning on my TV, fixing my antenna to watch it on Fox. I just knew it, and I didn't feel confident coming into this game. Then us getting the message, Stafford is out for tomorrow for the against the Packers. Rippen is starting, and yeah, I lost all faith in it, and look what happened. The Packers dropped 20 on us. What did we do? 3 was our best offensive game. 3 freaking points. That was our best game. Like, at this point, it's not even worth watching these guys no more. Unless they want to change something up, I'm not going to waste my valuable time watching these guys if they're not going to actually bring me happiness, which I want to see the Rams win. Everyone wants to see them win. But every time they keep on playing this, they keep showing this offensive disaster. And the defense doing all its power to actually win us games, and they don't do anything to help. It's like this. It's the same thing, different day. Same thing, different day. McVay's play calling is infuriating. We only relied on passing the ball, and the Packers kind of smirked at us and like laughed at us because we couldn't even get a couple yards. And we could have run our ball. We could have run the ball, and They stopped it. It was like literally we were fighting a battle that we couldn't just win. We literally were fighting for no. We were fighting just to get nothing in return, and it's frustrating, Jake.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Well, it's frustrating because, I mean, you know, when you have Brett Rippen in there, and this goes back to the conversations we had about the backup quarterback position, when I think our show was ahead of the backup quarterback position. I'm not going to lie. I mean, we've been talking about the backup quarterback position on JE Live since way before Stafford even got hurt. But, you know, I just think when you have Rippen in there, it literally tells the defense, hey, we don't have a respectable enough quarterback to throw down the field. And they're not going to buy that they're throwing down the field. So they're going to stack the box, and there you can't run. It doesn't matter how good your running game is. It doesn't matter how good, you know, your blocking is. If you continuously play the numbers game of 8-9 guys in the box throughout the game, you're not going to be able to run the football. So, yeah, that's pretty much what, you know, the Packers did. And, yeah, just really, really tough. No, second question here for you. What are your expectations out of the bye? I know you kind of right now you feel very down on this team, but do you think they can get anything together with Stafford getting healthy and Havenstein and Ernest Jones coming out of the bye?
I don't know, Jake. Until they miraculously find a solution during the bye week and we get healthy, they gotta show me. They gotta show the fans that they actually can score, because they can blow smoke up our faces and tell us, oh, we're gonna do these type of changes. We're gonna implement this. We're gonna have Ben Skoranek motioning around as fullback, Tutu running deep, those short passing routes. They could talk all that, but until they actually show us that they actually did it and are using, like, being creative, it's not gonna be worth watching them. But who knows? We're unpredictable. We are surprised we're even playing in these games close, even though our roster is not the best. We have a majority of holes in it, but we're still playing to our best ability. It's just that, Jake. Like, until they show me something, until they show the fans that they actually can score against these other teams, pull out some ugly wins. I don't care if they're close to the needle, determined by a field goal or a blowout. I just want to see them win. At least finish with us above 500 record. Who knows? We might not make playoffs, but as long as we're above 500, that's a win for me. That's a win for the fans. And just get ready for next year. And
yeah. I mean, I think that's all people want is just a competitive team. And I mean, to be fair, the record doesn't indicate that, I guess, 3-6, but they have been competitive. And, you know, I think today they easily win with Stafford. Defense did everything they needed to. And I think the offense got every look that you could ask for. Guys were open. Rippen just can't hit most of those guys. And you got to give him credit. He had 3 really good throws. After those 3 throws, though, it's like, you know, where was that? Third question for you. Final question here. Who are you drafting if they end up picking in the top 10?
Let's see. I don't know. I have a feeling I want to go into the tackle position, and I'll get Penn State Alu. I can't pronounce his last name.
Oh, Fashanu?
Joel. Yeah, that or a defensive player, because I feel like more likely we could draft the quarterback in the second round, because for some maybe they're the players, as they continue playing until next year, some of their high draft stock might go down, which is perfect for us. But it's either an LT, a defensive presence, or a QB. Those are our 3 best options, because as soon as free agency hits, we're gonna have a pretty good amount of money. Then we actually can fill up our roster, our holes with the money we got. Who knows? We might get Chase Young. Who knows who's hitting free agency, and the Rams just less maneuvering around and seeing, and responsibly and carefully making contracts that don't hurt us in the long term, where he ends up overpaying for people. So yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I feel that, man. You and I are on the same page with the left tackle, because I think I know everyone wants to get the next era started. I still think Stafford has plenty left in the tank. He's got a year or two left. Definitely, I think he has 2 years, but at the very least, he has another year. So I'm not drafting a quarterback in the first round. I'm drafting one in the second, to your point. We'll see what ends up happening. Some of the quarterbacks that, I might bring up, like a Shitter Sanders, they might not even come out. Others might move their way into the second round. I mean, the draft process kind of decides way more than just college football does, and I think people forget that. Anthony Richardson wasn't even supposed to be that high, and then he shot up with the draft process. So always important to know that. But yeah, appreciate you as always, man. And, I don't know what we're going to do for the bye next week. I might honestly take most of the week off. And just
you deserve it, Jake.
Thanks, man.
Everyone deserves it, especially after today. I'm
still gonna make videos, but I'll probably take like the live stream off or something, or maybe we'll do something different. But no, I appreciate you, man. We'll have to touch base, if not this weekend, if I don't do anything, then maybe the next weekend with the Seahawks game.
Appreciate it, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You take care. All right, so let's ram your end zone. How you doing? You got me?
Hello?
How's it going?
Not that great. The Rams lost.
Yeah, no, that's true. So first question for you. What are your thoughts on the game?
I think people expected too much with Ripken. They thought it was going to be like one of those games where we would pull out a win. I didn't expect that. I knew it was going to be a hard game, but I think they take too long on getting a quality backup, and that's always biting them in the ass, I feel. We could have got Wentz. We could have got Dobbs. We could have got anybody, but they always just sit on their hands and then bite them in the ass in the end.
Yeah, no, it's very frustrating. Especially this is a topic I've brought up since week 1, and I don't know. I understand. Okay, you went through all of training camp with Rippen, but yeah, it's definitely frustrating that he didn't even make the initial 53, was supposed to be the third stringer, and then they were fine with him being the backup. And then bringing in Dresser Wynn just kind of told me everything. Like, I don't feel like they really did their due diligence to bring him in. But anyway, the second question for you, what are your expectations out of the bye with this team at 3-6?
I think it was just mainly them getting healthy. I think after the bye week, we should be fine. I'm not exactly sure when Kyron comes back, but that'll be a huge help.
I definitely agree. They need Kyron.
Yeah, and I think they're just still trying to figure out the offense with Cutback. I think him being out so long, they gelled, and him coming back kind of ruined things a little bit. Sad to say, but I think that happened. But I think once all of them are on the same page, I think they should be a borderline top 5 offense, top 10 for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping they could turn it around. I think losing Kyron is kind of a big loss that is just kind of not really being talked about because they've had success on the ground. But, like, I don't know. There are times where I'm like, man, Royce or Hendo, they got 6 on that. Would Kyron have broken those 2 tackles and gotten 12? It makes you wonder because he was doing that against the Cardinals when we last saw him. He had 150-something yards. So third and final question here. I don't know how much you follow the draft, and if you don't, just give me a position. But who are you drafting if the Rams end up picking in the top 10?
Top 10? I'll go get that kid from Penn State, man. I think he could be our Orlando Pace. And I think we got to go sign Matt Hennessy. I think it's time to build and put money into this O-line, man. It's enough already. I think once Big Wit went down or retired, I think it was time to do all that from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, there are 2 things that have been tried and true in the Sean McVay era that kind of get lost. People still bring them up, but they're not talked about nearly enough. First thing is elite left tackle. In Sean McVay's career, He has not had success without an elite left tackle. The second thing is an elite running back. Sean did have success and won a Super Bowl without an elite running back, but having Todd Gurley you were able to win games even when your offense couldn't really get things going in other ways. You could just lean on Todd in the receiving game or, rushing, and it would just work out. And, I think that's one thing where we saw last year, I mentioned earlier in the show, they were considering going after Christian McCaffrey, and they very much tried to get him. And it makes you wonder, like, that interest in Christian McCaffrey last year, is that still there for the Rams? Like, could they, sign somebody this offseason? Do they value the running back more than maybe we think? It really begs the question, because that would be really interesting if so. But
especially with Alvin Kamara out there, I think he plays the similar style as McCaffrey, and both of the numbers are identical since they've both been in the league. I think that'll be huge, but I think Kyron's fine. I think we do need another running back, maybe a AJ. I love AJ Dillon, man. I like the pace he brings, the change. He's big. He'll get you the first downs. I think he's a free agent too this year coming up. I think he'll be a good 1-2 punch with Kyron, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I really like Kyron. Wouldn't mind him being RB1. I'm not even saying I'm for getting a running back, but I think that we kind of don't talk about the fact that he was interested in Christian McCaffrey enough because there's something out there like, man, that means they were thinking about it. It's almost like, well, we haven't been the same since Todd Gurley left. So, yeah. But anyway, appreciate you hopping on and look forward to talking with you in the next one, man.
All right, man. Sounds good. Hopefully it's after a victory.
Yeah, I could use one of those. Take it easy,
man. Have a good one.
Later. All right. Let's see here. We got Al Palau. How you doing? Oh. So not ready yet, I would assume. Okay, let's go with Will. I haven't talked to Will in a while. Will, how you doing, my guy?
What's up, Jake? I'm all right, man. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Man, I always say, after a Rams loss, it tests you, man, because this job that I currently do, I'm like the luckiest dude alive, in my opinion. I mean, it's like the best job ever, but it definitely feels like a job. That's the backlash. It definitely feels like a job when your team loses.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, first question here for you, Will. What were your thoughts on the game?
It's pretty much exactly what I expected. I mean, I can't even say I'm disappointed because it's just as soon as I found out that Stafford wasn't playing, that is pretty much exactly what I expected. But Jake, I might have officially gone crazy because I actually still have hope for this season.
You do?
Look, I mean, we play this. Our next game is against Seattle. We've already beat them this season. We beat them on the road, I think, right?
Yeah.
We beat them in Seattle already. We blew them out. I think if Stafford can get healthy, I still think, if we're able to win that game again against a team we've already beat, and now we have Cooper Kupp back, all of a sudden, we're 4-6 with a game against Arizona, and that 7th seed is still gettable. I don't know. I still have some hope for this season. I know, obviously, on a day like today, that sounds insane, but I still have seen good things from this team this season. We blew out Seattle. We blew out Indy for a half. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Probably am, but I haven't given up hope completely.
No, I haven't either. Now, what is the ultimate goal? It's the Super Bowl. I don't think this team's a Super Bowl team, and that's okay. Right. I mean, I want to see this team, compete hard and try to win, as many games as they can, and just understand, look, like, for people, they don't want to be a middling team. They don't want to, be picking in 15th or whatever. For me, I don't really care. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, what it really comes down to is you're going to find talent all over the first round of the draft. The Rams haven't had a first round pick. I don't need to get all, you know, in my feels about where they pick in the first round. I also believe that the Rams have a good roster going into next year with a lot of cap space. If you added Josh Uche and Jalen Johnson and you re-sign Akello and Kevin Dotson, and you draft a bookend left tackle for the future, tell me how that doesn't immediately turn this team into a potential Super Bowl threat. I mean, think about it. You know what I'm saying? So that's just kind of where I'm at right now, Will, is like, you know, I understand it's not going to be pretty. It's not fun when they lose these games, but if you could finish the season strong, maybe get a playoff, you know, get some playoff experience for these young guys, they're going to be right in the thick of it next year. And I really think that's just, it's not talked about enough. Like, everyone says 2024, but I think they're greatly underestimating how much, as far as the strides that this team has made this season, because a lot of people said this team was going to win 5 games on the year, and here they are. They're battling in every single game just about. And now, you know, of course, the narratives are getting pushed, but it's like, you know, you said this team was going to be bad, and this team just continues to compete against the best of the best and be in every game. So I don't know how this team is considered bad. Plus, that was the tough part of their schedule, Will. Like, they unfortunately, and this is what I said, is the beginning of their easy part of their schedule, they lose Stafford, they lose Havenstein, they lose Ernest Jones. Like, freak stuff that just, unfortunately, you know, I know Packers fans were upset about some of the injuries they sustained, but you had Jordan Love. Like, you can't tell me you're winning that game if you have to start, I don't even know who their backup is, you know?
Right.
So
no, I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying. I mean, if this year was supposed to be a bridge year, and really 2024 is the year where we're supposed to compete, which was the plan all along, it seems like, I actually think this is a really big success as a bridge year, because we've seen a couple rookies, obviously Puka and Byron Young, really step up, Steve Avila. So, I mean, if you had told me to start the season that 3 of our rookies would be, like, you know, actual, you know, have a huge role, have a huge impact right away, look like future star players. And, you know, like you said, we're still in the mix. In my opinion, I guess I'm crazy. I think we'll be in the mix for a 7th seed. We're still a competitive team. Like, I would take that.
No, I would take it too. Now, so we talked about your thoughts on the game, and we talked about expectations out of the bye. Last question for you, Will. Who are you drafting if they pick in the top 10?
I'm going to punt on that for 2 reasons. One, to be honest, I'm just an NFL guy through and through, so I don't watch as much college. But 2, I just think I want to see how this team finishes before, because even you know, there's certain positions I could say, but I want to see, you know, for example, if Alaric comes back and plays well, how the, you know, the young secondary does. See if someone emerges on the opposite side of Byron Young before I say something like I want an edge rusher or a left tackle. Probably, if I had to say right now, left tackle, but I'm just not sure right now.
Yeah, it's tough. Definitely, you know, a tough one there. But hey, appreciate you, and look forward to talking with you in the next one, man.
Sounds good. See you, Jake.
All right, later, Will. All right, let's see here. Let's go with Falco. What's up, Falco?
Hello.
So, what were your thoughts on the game?
Okay, first off, before anything, I just want to say is that this team is not tanking just based on how our defense played today.
I totally agree.
Like yeah, sure thing, losing sucks, but that was not on the defense.
No.
Despite them being out on the field for like 35, 40 minutes. Just brutal. But yeah, overall, it was honestly what I was expecting. You know, this team rides or dies with Stafford South.
They do.
If Stafford's not playing, they're most likely going to lose, and we saw that today. Now, do I think it's that McVay needs to be fired? No, because we've seen not good play callers be awesome head coaches. Like, look at like Detroit being the prime example of this with a whiff of Dan Campbell not doing the play calling. That's on Ben Johnson, but Dan Campbell is one hell of a head coach because he motivates guys, he gets the most out of them. I think McVay does as well, but the problem with us is just it has to be some sort of mental thing because we're a better team than we are, and that's why these losses are mounting and frustrating because we've proven that we can play up against teams like a San Francisco. We beat Seattle by a wide margin. You know, we even competed against Philadelphia. So it's just frustrating
Yeah.
to see that team just in this 3-6 rut, which I think is a very hard thing to climb out of. 4-5 is a lot easier to climb out of than a 3-6 because for you to reach back to 500, you have to win now 3 straight compared to just winning 1.
No,
or 2 games.
You're absolutely right.
So it's just way harder to get to that above 500, being at 3-6 entering 5. So honestly, with this team right now, it's hard to say because we really have to take it game by game and week by week with this team because we could have won this game if, let's say, both Ernest Jones and Rob Havenstein were starting because, like, we pretty much knew that Stafford was not playing. Like, I was saying that he shouldn't play, just let him rest, make him come back to Seattle. You start Rippen, make him that game manager. You know, like, Rippen didn't do the worst. Like, yeah, sure thing, he had that one bad pick, right? He missed guys across the field, but you could have potentially won with him in some weird way. One with him, it's just that we couldn't capitalize on the 2 turnovers, which was the killing blow. Defense played awesome. It's just frustrating loss overall.
No, I definitely agree with you. Defense played way too good to lose that game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, coming out of the bye, your expectations, I feel like we kind of have the same thought process, but where are you on the Rams? Can they make the playoffs, do you think? Or are you kind of like, I don't know.
I honestly don't know if this team makes playoffs this year because, like I said before, it is not because of their talent or it's not because of their coaching. I just think because of where their record is standing at, being 3-6, it's a lot harder to get to that playoff spot, to get above that 500. It's very difficult. Like I said, at most, we could afford 2 losses at most. And keep in mind that Cleveland could be a very tricky game to win. Keep in mind that even like the Commanders, Saints could be difficult games too. So it's just those games, despite them looking on paper to be easier games, down the stretch, depending on what happens, they could be very tricky, especially Cleveland because their defense is just very good.
Yeah.
I don't think
No, you're definitely right there.
Finally, like we were talking about last night, like the actual thing, 10-7 was doable. Now I don't think so that much, mainly because of where the record is.
Yeah, it's gonna be. They'd have to run the table with only 1 loss to go to 10-7. Now it's.
Dude, that's so hard. That's so difficult coming off the bye to lose only 1 game. And finally, at least 2 guaranteed losses because of Baltimore and San Francisco are just better than us. That's not a knock to us. They just are better than us. It's just very, very frustrating. And honestly, like Sean McVay said on his presser today, like it's just a weird thing with this team. This team's in a very odd spot.
Yeah, it's very weird because, you know, it's not like Stafford just suffered a season-ending injury. Like, there was a debate whether or not he was going to play. And it leads, you know, begs the question, like, if you know, they don't play him coming out of the bye, do you even bother playing him at all? You know,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean,
If he doesn't come out of the bye and he doesn't start, that's when I'm gonna say, okay, let's just start slowly shutting everything down to prevent injuries carrying over into next season. But
yeah,
in terms of Stafford, I always held the belief is that if you started Stafford in this game, it was going to be a risk of him potentially injuring himself even more. And if you started Rippen, we saw what happened. So
yeah. I
either
mean,
way, I thought it was a risk.
yeah,
They honestly saved Stafford from himself. That's what I got the vibe from. Like Adam Schefter was saying that how Stafford wanted to play, and the Rams said, look, just rest this week. We have the bye coming up. Get as much rest as you
yeah.
can.
No, absolutely. But last question for you. If you say the Rams do end up picking top 10, who would you pick with their top 10 pick?
Top 10. If we're going to drop top 10, I want that top 10. Give me Joel. Give me Alu. Give me a left tackle for the future. Now, second round, we can have a debate in second round, and I wouldn't mind dropping edge either in the first, because there's some really good edge rushers in that first round.
Mm-hmm.
But I think backup quarterback should be a priority too. Like,
yeah, no,
I would say second round, maybe drafting someone like a Jaden Daniels in the second round. Kind of like that more developmental piece to sit behind Stafford and truly take over within like a year or two when Stafford announces retirement eventually and everything. You have your future. And on top of that, if you draft left tackle, you can have that whole O-line set pretty much for the future. So,
yeah,
but at the same time, we also need edge, which I don't know how much of those young edge rushers are going to be in free agency when free agency hits. Because I have a sneaky suspicion that both Chase Young and Josh Uche could re-sign with their team. I just have that sneaky suspicion is that both San Francisco as well as New England want to hold on to those guys as much as they can.
yeah. I mean, I guess
So,
we'll find out. I'm in that same boat with you with that second round quarterback. But yeah, Falco, appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you too.
All right, well, I'll catch you in the next one, man. And
Yeah, catch you in the next one. And one last thing, what are you doing during like the bye week? Are you gonna do like more of the gaming streams?
yeah, definitely.
Are you potentially gonna do like a watch party? Like bring back the watch party while the Rams are on that bye week for the morning slate?
Maybe. I just like my thing is, and this has really been my mission throughout the year, is I feel like this is the best year I've done a good job of managing my burnout, because I burn out like crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm trying to keep doing that. And so I just found that those watch parties just increase the burnout level, you know?
Right.
So, you can't do everything. And so I got to make some sacrifices. And I figured the watch parties just aren't really a great thing for me. I don't think it really showcases what my best content is. And plus, I have people calling in during these anyway. So I feel like the engagement is still like perfectly fine.
Right.
But yeah.
But again, though, like those kick gaming streams are going to be lit.
Yeah. I should, I mean, well, probably half the week, I would say.
All right.
Maybe I don't know every night, but maybe I don't know. When I wake up tomorrow, I'll have a better idea of it. Kind of like an injury report.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's been fun talking to you, Jake.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, off of the bye, we get a win against Seattle. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right, Falco, you take care, my man.
Yeah, you too, Jake.
All right. Let's see here. I got 4 more. P-Train, what's up?
Hey,
How's it going?
oh, not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, this team is frustrating, but
Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh. So what's your first question for me tonight?
so I got 3 for you. First is what are your thoughts on the game?
Well, I only watched part of it because I ended up at a thing where the governor of my state was at, so I got to hobnob around with him a little bit, and so that was kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, obviously, you can't blame the defense, but each week it's something, right? And to your point, you talked about, you can't blame Stafford for this one. Well, we can blame McVay because of his decisions or whatever, not to value that backup quarterback. With Rippen in there, that's not.
Totally agree by
that's
that.
that's not going to cut it. So he kind of put the team in that situation where we had no choice.
Yeah.
But also taking that in consideration, though, I mean, with Stafford, we were only 3-5 too. So obviously, Stafford would have been much better than Rippen any day of the week. But there's a lot more that going on this team than just one person or anything like that. So.
Yeah, definitely frustrating. They neglected the quarterback room, like I was saying, that they needed to not do. And then Rippen comes out, and now all of a sudden you can't even call a game plan because there wasn't much Sean McVay could do. But like to your point, it's still Sean McVay's fault. And this is what I was saying too. It's Sean McVay's fault in the first place for getting it to the point where Rippen was the backup. But I couldn't really blame Sean McVay too much for the play calling because, well, Rippen, end of the day, I mean, the defense didn't buy that he was even going to throw the football. So they just stacked the box and you couldn't run the ball. And it's how you become one-dimensional.
Yeah. Is it me, or does it seem like the offensive line is starting to falter a little bit more than in the past 2 or 3 weeks than they were at the beginning of the season? They just don't seem like they're doing as good of a job blocking, open up holes. I mean, you were talking about the 2 tackles in there, just not very effective. Joe Noboom was on his butt a couple times, or that I saw in the game. He was getting thrown around, and I'm like, this is why I've never been high on Joe Noboom. He just lacks that nastiness that Avila has, and when Corbett was there, he had that nastiness that I like to see in my linemen. It just seems like, and I was so high on Alaric Jackson, and now I'm just saying, like, what's going on? And why do we seem like we're taking a step back? The offensive line was like one of our stronger points, in the first, 3-4 games or so. Now it just seems like we're starting to not do as good.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Definitely frustrating. I mean, it's tough because it's like, I don't think the offensive line as a whole has been really bad. I just think that, not having Havenstein 2 weeks in a row has kind of showed. That's what I'll say there. That's probably the best way I could put that. But what are your expectations coming out of the bye? That's my second question for you.
Not a whole lot. I mean, I think the players are trying to play their butt off. I don't, they're doing what they can, but for whatever reason, it's not gelling. It's not come together. And I guess my hope for the second half of the season is that we look to I don't think we're playoff bound, but that we, just kind of like last year, that we start to see some improvement in certain areas from certain players that we can say, okay, we can build around that guy and this guy and that guy. This one, maybe we can do better. Maybe they're a backup. Maybe we get rid of them. But I think we're just kind of in that, who are we going to keep around for next year and who are we going to replace?
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I think that they got a shot. There's 8 more games, but I think right now they're a middling team. That's what they are. They're a team that's in the middle of the league, and they have a chance to be good and turn this thing around. But this is, I mean, I feel like a broken record saying this because, this is the must-win game and this one is. But no, coming off a bye, if they don't beat Seattle, that's how you know. Like, at that point, the season's over. You know? That's just, it's done. You're not making the playoffs because then you have to win out at that point. I don't know. I don't see it. But third and final question for you, my friend. Who are you drafting if they pick top 10?
Oh, I don't know because I think the players that I would like are going to be gone before they even get to the top 10 from ones that I even know about, like that. The wide receiver, the number one wide receiver, I think his father played on the Colts.
Oh, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, he's going to be gone. The very top offensive tackle's probably going to be gone, so you might get the second or third best. You know, I haven't seen anything about edge rushers because they're usually the first ones to go. We'll probably not get the top two quarterbacks, Caleb or the May. So I don't know. Anybody but a cornerback. I don't want a cornerback. Not in the top 10. I think we can find someone to go along with Witherspoon in the free agency.
I agree with that. I would like to see Jalen Johnson personally. But yeah, P-Train, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Next time,
see, now,
hopefully
I didn't
they get a win.
I didn't keep you on 20 minutes tonight, though, buddy.
Yeah, no, you did not. Although, let's see. We're under an hour and 30, and I got 3 people left, and I'm locking it right now. Verbally locking the rest of this. I'm not doing any more. But hey, P-Train, appreciate it as always, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
You too. Take care.
All right. Bye.
All right. Let's go with SoCal. Hey, SoCal, how you doing? You're on mute, by the way.
Hey, what's up, Jake? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How's it going, man?
Not too bad, man. Just kind of hanging out, letting my kids play outside.
Nice. What were your thoughts on the game?
Kind of what it was to be expected. As far as offense, Brett Rippen's not even a backup quarterback in this league, bro. I'm watching Aiden O'Connell kill the Giants right now. You know?
That's good defense too.
Yeah, definitely. And that's coming from the Raiders that are quote unquote a bad team. So it just shows you that we just don't have the talent in certain levels.
Yeah. So coming out of the bye, 3-6, what are your expectations for the team?
It's gonna be hard because we're coming off a loss. Seattle's coming off a loss. It's anybody's game ball. I know we play really good against Seattle, but they've also made improvements. Well, the Rams haven't. So I'm just gonna call it a like a 50-50 shot, any given Sunday. But I know we do play good against them, and hopefully we have our Kyron Williams back.
He'll be back the next game, unfortunately, not the Seattle game.
Oh, yeah. And so, I have a couple questions for you too.
Yeah.
If you want to ask me yours first, and then we'll just kind of, because I wrote them down, so I don't lose my train of thought.
Oh, I love it. Sure thing. Right before I ask this third question, I'm just going to shout out Chacho. Thank you so much for the one, man. Appreciate the donation. And and then MAS Boxing, appreciate the 5. I want them to draft Drake May. He has a missile for an arm. What do you think? I don't think he's going to be there for the Rams. Personally, there's not really much else I can really say about Drake May. I haven't watched enough of him to say, I have a full evaluation. But SoCal, for the third question here, who are you drafting if the Rams do indeed pick top 10?
So definitely, you got to be smart with your first pick that you're going to have for I don't know how long, but I would definitely go left tackle, and then I'll explain why. If you're gonna roll with Stafford, you got to keep him upright. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Protect them as long as you can. So starting an elite left tackle is gonna make the world difference. And then I'm considering maybe moving Avila to center because that's what he played throughout his college career. So I don't think that would be a bad move. And guards, you could always find in the draft that are really good, or even sign one.
Yeah.
So you could just bolster that O line, and then I'll also do left tackle because once you do have your next franchise quarterback, he's gonna be a rookie, and you want to keep him comfortable in the pocket and protect him for a long time too. You know.
No, I agree with that, and we definitely have kind of the same thoughts, like left tackle, and then, if you don't get a center, you could move Avila there. If you do get a center, you can keep Avila at the spot he's learning at the NFL level, and it's like I feel like you win either way because I think he could play either or.
Avila is such a good signing for us because he's versatile. He can play left guard and center. I mean, and then I know I'm pretty sure the Rams are gonna re-sign Dotson. Like that's just a no-brainer. He's probably like one of the top right guards right now in the league. So
yeah,
just and then I guess second would be a tough one for me, but it would probably be an edge or a backup QB because you never know. Maybe you could get a Will Levis in the second or Anthony Richardson. Like they do tend to drop, you know.
No, and absolutely.
I don't think the Niners can afford Chase Young because look at what Montez Sweat went for. Like, there's no way they can afford him. Like, they have like $1 million cap space next year. They would have to do some crazy, and he's gonna want something similar. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I put up the same numbers, close to it. I want, you know what I mean? Like, I just can't see them extending him. That's gonna be crazy unless he takes a friendly deal, which I don't think so.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. But yeah, you said you had questions for me.
All right, let me see where did I write them down. Okay, so my question is like I'm kind of mad on how like I don't think the Rams should move off McVay because he's a good head coach. But how do you feel maybe him passing the sticks to, like you mentioned it before, like there's a lot of good head coaches that don't make plays all the time. Like I'm going to use what's his name from the Chiefs. He's not always making like play calling, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. He like, kind of alternates. I think they should give Mike LaFleur a shot to call plays. I think Sean McVay's doing too much, and I think he needs to manage his burnout better.
Yeah, definitely. Because, I mean, I have young kids, and I know people say, oh, it's not playing in toll, but it is. Because, he probably can't stay up like how he used to no more and think about football. Now he has to go home and be a dad because you have to, unless he's going to go home and ignore all his dad duties now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of think they need to balance that, maybe let him play because LaFleur wasn't bad when he was play calling, so I'm pretty sure he can get these guys in like good positions to strike. And then my other thing, it was not a real question, but I know you brought up the content might be down, and I get it because I'm close to LA, and like LA is. If you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
Unfortunately, like if then the Rams aren't winning, they're not gonna. The fan base out here is not gonna stick around and like, it just sucks, man.
Oh, I know.
Tickets they're gonna be cheap. I'll give you that, but it's you got to win in LA, man, and it just kind of not looking good. And then I guess they just got to keep winning, man. Like I don't know why they're not winning because on offense they have Cup still, they still have Nakua, they have Tutu, Daryl Henderson's he's a good running back. He's not the greatest, but he's good. Like I've always liked the dude because he can pass block. He does all three. Catch out of the backfield, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of hard to find on a running back. I am kind of worried on Tyler Higbee. He seems to always just be banged up too much now, or drop too many balls. I don't know if the extending him was a good thing, but we'll see.
His drops have definitely been a problem.
If they cut other guys that had bigger deals, I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped them, but I don't think they will because they seem to really like them. And then, I think that was it. I was going to bring up Leslie, but I don't think that's a topic to touch about because as far as like drafting. But so you're with me. You would draft the left tackle first, and how would you go about it? Because I'm kind of skeptical on the 2024 season. Everybody says eyes on 2024, but after watching your video that one day, I'm like, man, how much better can they actually get? What's the elephant in the room? I feel it might be maybe play calling or overthinking it. That was my final question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to with that video. I don't want to take you away from the thought that 2024 could be good. My point was actually that the 2024 season, they don't have that much more to do. People are looking at 2024 like this is the year we're just going to clean slate it and we're going to go out and we're going to get all these new guys. It's like, I got to be honest with you. You might not like it, but a lot of these guys are going to be back next year. And
I'm fine with that. I just think there are a few players away, like from like filling that gap. They need the left tackle, right?
No, exactly. That's how I feel.
They need the edge rusher. Just still having Byron Young on the other side. You're gonna have AD for another year, and defensive tackles. I mean, they'll probably that's not an issue because. So, like I said, a few good players, offense-wise. I just don't know why they're not gelling yet. I don't know if it's the O-line or the play calling. But if Raheem sticks around with us next year, I think we'll be good. Hopefully he sticks around with us, until the full band dismembers. You know what I mean? Maybe he'll stick around for that.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, the way the season's going, I could see him not being a head coach, which is just crazy. But yeah, because man.
I used to be against him, man. You know that, but you kind of shed light on him, and you opened my eyes on it. He's making these guys play really good, keeping us in games. You know what I mean? Moving guys around.
Oh, absolutely. He's been huge.
He's juicing everybody's talents, and he's keeping us in these games. It's the offense that's not helping us right now. So
I definitely agree with that.
Somebody said this too, but I just want the team to be a little bit more competitive. You know what I mean? Maybe show us some. Oh, okay, they're improving in this. As of lately, they haven't shown us any improvement on tape. On film. I just feel like they need a. Defense is playing good. I have no. Maybe don't drop this guy in coverage too much, or why just that's probably nitpicking from us. But offense is you expect Cup to catch all the balls or Tyler Higbee catch this. It's just they just got to figure something out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
no.
Those are my thoughts on the games. Because I've seen teams with less talent do more and win more games, and I'm like, well, these guys have arguably the best trio in wide receivers,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'll always say, with your records, I mean, look at 3-6 versus another 3-6 team. I mean, not all records are created equal, and it's you can find. I mean, the Steelers, they are what 5-3 now. I mean, how are they 5-3?
I still don't think that they're that good of a team. I watch their teams on Thursday Night Football, and I'm like, God, this is boring. How are we not winning these games? So I just think there's a disconnect, and again, maybe McVay has too much on his plate, but I definitely wouldn't get rid of him. He just needs to get back to his roots, like how he did. Find that, get that momentum going. You know, like because you said it yourself. Been to two Super Bowls in 5 years. The O line is bad last year from injuries. The O line is bad this year, but no injuries. It's just bad. They're not. You got a rookie that's playing way better than he should have, and then we got lucky with the Dotson deal, dude. Honestly, and Havenstein's probably the best you're gonna get at right tackle. You know what I mean? He's been solid for many years, so I don't want to move from him. You know, I don't want to be like one of those guys. Oh, he sucks, or he's hurt. You know, the moment he gets injured or something. You know.
No, I definitely get that, man. But hey, I appreciate you hanging out with me on here, and hopefully next time we talk,
worries.
it'll be a win.
Let's hope for the best, man. You know, that's somebody you can't count out on is McVay. Honestly, he hasn't lived up to you know, to everything else, but you just can't count him. I mean,
yeah, no,
I think he'll figure something out, and then things will turn around. Whether it might not be this game, but I know the future really is looking bright for the Rams. You know, young team still, third youngest in the NFL. I keep telling myself that because I forget they're so young still.
Yeah,
they're so young still.
They're top heavy, and they got you know their best players are older. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of youth. You know, I still think today they lost because they had a rookie.
Yeah, the quarterback. I mean, they didn't have nobody steering the ship. To be honest, I could say that he's just not a good backup. You know, not a good maybe if we had Bennett, and you know I know he hasn't been around, but he could just read the plays and make those shots connect. You know, I think if he would have been here, we would have won. Oh, yeah, that was one question real quick. Do you think he will be on the team with us next year? I'm assuming, yeah,
Wait,
right?
Who? Bennett?
Bennett, yeah, going forward for next year. I know he's going through some issues right now, but next year?
I think so, but I mean, you know, the question is, does he ever come back to football? You know? So, yeah. I mean, if he comes back to football, yeah, the Rams will welcome him with open arms, I'd imagine. But if he doesn't, then, yeah, there's not really much they can do.
Gotcha. So, yeah, man, we just got to kind of stay positive, man. I know losing sucks, and I'm always the first one to point out when they lose. But today was, I don't want to say I've given up. It's just like I'm trying to look more on the positive sides now. Just, you know, they'll learn, they'll bounce back, hopefully sooner than later, and then just kind of keep it like that. And then let's not turn our backs on the Rams, man. They win for us. Put it that way, you know.
I agree, man. I will see you. Well, not next week. We're probably 2 weeks.
I'll catch you on your streams, man. Whenever you're gaming, whatever, you know. I'm always there.
Appreciate it, man.
So, yeah. All right, cool, man.
All right, you take it easy.
Likewise.
Okay. Blaze Blue Beats, how you doing? You there?
Oh, I was muted.
How's it going?
Disappointed, but I guess the only good thing that happened for me today was that USC fired their defense coordinator. So that's the only good thing that happened today. Other than that, ugh.
I saw that.
This was expected. I kind of expected this.
All right. What were you, so okay? You expected it. So those are your thoughts on the game. Do you have anything else on the game?
Actually, the defense played great today. I don't know if I didn't have to rewatch the game, but I didn't see Kendricks out there as much. I didn't really see him out there. I saw Shelby and I saw Lake out there a lot more, but I didn't see Kendricks that much.
Yeah, I don't think Kendrick played much at all. Actually, I think it was Kobe Durant And then Durant got a stinger again, and so that's
Yeah.
when Duke Shelley came in. So yeah, Quentin Lake played in the star.
Mhm.
And that was that for the most part.
Okay, yeah, and then like I said, the defense played great. The only time I was pissed off was when he did drop 97 in Hoyt in coverage. He did it one play, but other than that, he really didn't do it. So defense played great. It was just the offense that we kind of expected that this was going to happen. And yeah, Rippen's not the guy. He can't.
He is
cut
not.
it. He cannot cut it. I mean,
there's probably one quarterback in the league he's better than. That would be Tommy DeVito, who's actually playing right now for the Giants.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I was turned to the game and they showed the Josh Dobbs, and then he let them down there and got the game-winning touchdown. I'm like, we couldn't. Well, I know a lot of people would say we couldn't give up a 6th or 7th round pick, but I doubt Arizona would trade a player in their own division.
Well, you never know. The Lions did it mid-season last year. They traded Hawkinson of all players to the Vikings, so I'll never rule it out.
Yeah.
But so next question here, what are your expectations coming out of the bye?
I mean, like you said earlier, we've been in every single game. If we get healthy, because we did miss Jones a little bit today, he would have clogged up those runs. Obviously, we missed Stafford because he would have. With Stafford, we beat this team. That's easy. Everyone can rest and get healed up. I hope they can win the next 2 games, because the next 2 games are critical. If you win those 2 games, you have a shot at the playoffs. If you lose those 2 games, the season's over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think if you lose the game against Seattle, the season's over, to be honest with you.
Yeah, true, yeah. And Seattle's playing a lot better now, it seems like. So.
Yeah.
We'll see what
not this week. It was like 37-3.
They got their ass kicked, so that was another good thing. They lost. I think Arizona lost. So everyone in our division lost except for San Francisco, who was on a bye.
Yeah.
So.
I hear you.
Yeah.
The last one I was gonna say, the last question here. Yeah, I don't know how into the NFL draft you are, but if you were picking in the top 10, who are you picking for the Rams?
I watch college football a lot. I watch USC all the time. I know, like I said, a lot of people. I never understood the whole taking for Caleb thing. I'm like, no, just we have Stafford. If the season goes awry and something happen and we have a chance to get him, okay, sure. But if everyone's healthy, no, you play him and we go win games. But if we have a 10 pick, I have to agree with you guys. Like, tackle is probably an important position, because obviously we hit with Avila. I mean, Avila got beat a little bit today, but for the most part, he's been a great addition for this offensive line. He's been steady. He's been out there every week and been balling. So he's a good find. The other guy, Dotson, was a great trade so far. It's just those tackles have been. Now, granted, Noteboom is not that guy. I mean, me and my dad have been complaining about him for years. We've just never really liked him. We missed Heavenstein a little bit today, but I would say left tackle. Now, if I know a lot of people think it's Caleb and then May are those 2 quarterbacks that'll probably go first. If that quarterback from Washington, now granted, that would be a low risk project because he's injury prone. I might grab him, but if I would wait to see how things play out for that. So I would go, because you need a backup quarterback. Obviously, we saw today.
Yeah, I mean, you're only as good as your backup quarterback, right? But
yep.
Hey, man. Oh, sorry, you were saying something?
Oh yeah, no. The other position, I mean, most of the other positions, like the other people said, are available in the free agency, because cornerback, you can grab another corner. Defense and an edge rusher you can grab in free agency. Probably you can get Chase Young, because like the other guy said, his Sweat got paid 90 something million with 80 70 60 something guaranteed. He's gonna want something like that.
Yeah.
Like the other guy said, San Francisco, if not, there's no way San Francisco can keep him. So you could get him, but obviously left tackle, maybe backup quarterback. If Bennett can't come back, because we don't know if he'll come back.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yep. So that's all I have. So, but, gonna be.
Well,
we need this week. We need this bye.
Yeah, it's like I'm bummed that I can't watch Rams football this week, and at the same time, I'm like kind of, yeah, I need a vacation.
Yeah, same, man.
Blaze, appreciate you, and you go enjoy the rest of your Sunday night.
I will try.
Take care.
You too.
Thanks. All right, last one here. Phoenix, what's up?
Jay, what's going on?
Oh man. Well, I'm just about wrapping up this show, so that's what's going on.
Yeah. This was a tough pill to swallow, man.
Yeah, just a little
Tough
bit.
pill.
So what were your thoughts on the game?
Well, just like how you said and what everybody else has been saying, I'm more mad at the person that had the bright idea of, yeah, let's bring Brett Rippen to be the backup quarterback and start this game. Like, after like he was fumbling and stuff like that, I was just like, okay, this is gonna go way south. Like, I understand the Rams, and I think the smartest decision out of this was sitting Stafford. I'm thankful that it wasn't a season-ending injury, that he was able to sit and not kind of play with fire and go and play. I was actually happy that he sat out. But the fact that Brett Rippen started, well, the writing was already on the wall, pretty much. So, I will say this: Raheem Morris needs to be like front and center for whatever coaching position that needs to be out there, because he has been crushing it these past few games, having the defense like on top of all these games that we could have won, because the defense is, always put us in these spots. He needs to be front and center. Like I'm, like, and I can honestly admit, like at first, Raheem Morris, like I wasn't a huge fan of, but over time, he's been on top of it, and especially this season, he's been on top of the defense. So shout outs to him. I know he doesn't get enough credit, and I know he was getting a lot of bashing before, but he's been pretty consistent, except for, the Cowboys game, which went crazy. But, like what can you expect even in this game? What can you expect the defense to do? Stop them, take the ball and go score it, to help you guys out? No. It's like the offense needs to like put up, their weight and get some scoring done and stuff like that. Like it's crazy. Like on paper, everything seems cool. Like we got our receivers, got our running backs, Yeah, we can beefing up the O line. I don't think we have to like scrap it, like everybody's probably saying, scrap the O line, rebuild it. No, I think we have some good pieces. It's just that
you know how that is.
But yeah, exactly. Like, and I'm hearing like
every year,
oh yeah, tank for Caleb. Like, dude, we're not gonna get Caleb. We're not gonna get Drake May. We're not gonna, I'm surprised nobody's talking about Penix. He's just as good too.
And his injury history might push him down in the second round, and that wouldn't be awful.
Right. Because I just watched the highlights of the USC and Huskies game, and man, that was, I don't know, like to me, and I might be like way out there. He just kind of reminds me of like Lamar Jackson, just a little bit, just how he throws and stuff, just a little bit. That's just me though, but I could be totally wrong. But um, but I like Penix, you know, and stuff like that. We're not too far off. I don't think we're not too far off on this team. I think this is just the growing pain season, like just seeing what we have, like who's standing out. You know, we got Nakua, we got Young, you know, Avila. You know, we've hit some gold there. You know, I'm
Yeah.
just hoping just to see like how the rest of the season plays out. And you're right. I don't think we're I think it's just crucial now that you know the playoff position, but I don't think it's like too far gone. I think we can turn it around. I just think that all these games that we've had, you know, Niners, Philly, you know, all these like Super Bowl contender teams on the top half of the schedule, like I think we just needed this bye. And I honestly think that we can turn this around after the bye. I honestly think that. You know, call me crazy, but I don't know. I just think that, you know, a healthy Stafford and everybody else is getting healthier. I think we can just turn this around. You know, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it could be turned around too. Just want to give a shout out to Swizzleberry because holy freaking hell. I don't know if you saw across the screen at all, but Swizzleberry just donated 50 subs. Just gifted 50 subs over on Kick.
Nice.
That
Shout
is
out Swizzleberry.
That is absolutely crazy. Everyone please put a W right now in all the chats, whether you're on Kick or whether you're on YouTube. Swizzle, you know I love you, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Just wanted to give that shout out. But yeah, you know, it's been tough, man. It really has. I expected them to have more than 3 wins at this point, just to be fair.
Same.
But Phoenix, you know, I think looking at this season, if realistically they can't get out of the bye, they can't win games, all of that, and they're picking in the top 10. I don't know how into the NFL draft you are. Do you have them picking a specific player or a position, maybe?
Just like how everybody's saying, I think the most important thing that we need to look at is, you know, the O-line and the left tackle is pretty much needed. Like, you know, we don't need to go after, you know, wide receivers. I think we're good there.
Yeah.
You know, QBs, we can go in the later rounds because, you know, why? You know, we still have Stafford. You know, why? Why do we need to? I think it's just protecting the quarterback. I think that's the key piece that needs to be strengthened. Like, we need that left tackle. You know, everything else we can get through free agency. You know, I'm not opposed to it. And probably edge rusher, maybe, but now I'm just gonna say it, and you can call me crazy.
I'm not gonna call you crazy, Phoenix.
No, I'm gonna say this. This is gonna be way out there.
Okay, maybe I will.
Okay, I still think that we can get Brian Burns somehow, some way. I don't know. Like,
no, I don't think that's crazy.
Feeling. Yeah, because I still think that we can, because I don't think Niners are gonna give up on Chase Young. It's like, you know, I think they might just probably ditch Gregory and keep Young, you know? But
yeah, well, I definitely think they'll ditch Gregory. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly think that I don't think the Brian Burns talk, I know it's quieted down because, you know, Carolina thought they can contend, but, you know, we already know what's going on over there. So
1-7.
I don't think, yeah, I don't think it's crazy. Like I said, I could be totally wrong, and people can be like, you know, Phoenix, you're crazy, like, you know, that's stupid. Like, no, I don't think it is. I honestly think that
I've heard way crazier. Let me just be fair there.
Right. But honestly, like I know like the Rams haven't done anything during like free agency and stuff like that, but I feel like they're like planning something. Because when like Les Snead is quiet, he's doing something, you know? And I haven't heard from him in a
Yeah.
while. So he's cooking up something. Now, like whether it be Brian Burns or something, like it's gonna be something big. And I think that's what this is gearing towards is 2024. Even though like I still think this team can compete and stuff, but everybody's just thinking like 2024 is like where like it's gonna start to happen, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping that after this bye, we turn it around so we can just compete, so we can just shut up all like the media saying, "Oh, the Rams are going to be terrible." Like, they're not going to do anything. They're not competing. They're just, tanking or whatever. Like, you know, how are we tanking? Like, I don't see it. Like, well, if we keep ripping in, then I don't know. I'm starting to think that, but it's just like, like I don't think that we're tanking. I don't think like the defense playing this hard, keeping us in games like close to 7, like majority of the games. I don't see that as tanking. I see that as competing for a playoff spot. So, if we can get to that point, which I still think that we can, this season was a win to me. Like because everybody was writing us off from the get-go, you know. But and another thing is like with the whole McVay talk, like I love McVay even though he like frustrates the hell out of me. Um, but for him to like if you're gonna like if people are gonna like give up on him for what he's done and the amount of time that he's been head coaching, like I don't know what people are expecting to be at the Super Bowl twice and actually winning one. That's that's pretty good. And Shanahan doesn't even have one. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's gone to him, but he doesn't have one. And that's going to be the narrative. McVay's always going to have the first one over Shanahan. He might have him in the season, but at least he has one Super Bowl over Shanahan. So
No, I agree with that.
like I love McVay even though like I said he frustrates the hell out of me because he just I don't know what it is about him, but I love his energy. I think he brings the culture to the Rams, like out here in LA. Like I just think that some of their decision making is weird because it's like you're trying to build like a fan base here, but you give out like the key players. Now I understand why, because the salary issues and stuff like that. But it's like, how are we going to respond after giving away like all our stars? Ramsey, Woods, which I was like royally pissed about. Woods, uh, you know,
Offense hasn't been the
freaking
same since they gave away Woods. Hasn't.
agreed, 100% agreed.
Statistically proven, it hasn't been the same since Robert Woods is gone. And now you could say the same thing about a lot of these players, but still hasn't.
No, I think I think this is when it all started. Honestly, was like when when they won the Super Bowl. It just seemed weird because after it just slowly started going downhill, you know? And it's like, why? Like we have all these players and stuff, and I know injuries were a factor, but I don't know. I just wanted to see Bobby Trees and Cup, you know, doing it again for another year. But when they said that he was getting traded to Tennessee,
That made
I
me
just like
annoyed.
threw my phone. I threw my phone. I was like, are you serious? But whatever. But that was the past. We're at the present. Like I think we got a good receiving trio. You know, I just hope that they turn it around after this bye, which I believe that they will.
Yeah. I kind of have a feeling they're going to beat the Seattle Seahawks coming out of the bye. I think, Sean McVay's great off a bye. Or Sean McVay's, just great in week 1. So, the bye's like coming off of week 1, and he beat Seattle. But hey, Phoenix, appreciate you. I'm going to bring on 2 more people. Because I'm charitable, but not as charitable as Swizzleberry.
Well, Jake, thanks for having me on, and
absolutely.
It's always good to talk to you, so I can calm down after a Rams loss, because my blood pressure's over the roof. So it's always good for this therapeutic session. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Dr. Jake is at your service.
All right, good, Jake. Take care, man.
All right. You take care.
Right. You too. Peace.
All right. Let's see here. What is happening right now? There we go. Septic, how you doing?
Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no worries. How you doing?
Well, first time on the show, but I wish it was for a better reason.
Well, that's fair. I wish I was talking to you for a better reason, but I guess I'll ask you the 3 questions. We'll start off. Thoughts on the game?
Yeah, so, man, that was abysmal to watch. I mean, that was... I mean, around the 3-minute mark in the fourth quarter, I'm gonna be honest with you, Jake. I stopped watching because I could not bear that. It was just horrible. Both sides. The Packers were atrocious to watch, and I just couldn't handle seeing Brett Rippen just fumble 2 times in one play.
God.
I just couldn't handle that. When I saw that, I'm like, oh God. I was thinking Brett could maybe prove people wrong. I mean, I was thinking maybe this is his get back game. Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong.
I mean,
unfortunately,
to be fair, it's the NFL. He's in the NFL, so you would have thought you would have had an NFL performance at the very least. I mean, that was just, what the hell? He made 3 good throws. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Second question for you: expectations out of the bye. This team's 3-6. But they do have an easier road ahead, way easier than their first bunch of games. Where do you see this team going?
That's a good question, honestly. So, I mean, I think we can. These are really winnable games. I mean, honestly, these are really winnable games. I think the Seahawks are going to be a lot tougher than they were week 1, most definitely. With the emergence of their rookie Devin Witherspoon, the way, I mean, not today, but the way their offense has been clicking through these games. So that's going to be a tough one. I can maybe see the Rams losing that one, but the rest, like you said, the Commanders, I can see the Rams winning that one. Honestly, I think it just really comes down to which versions of the Rams do we see. Do we see the version of the Rams that played against the Bengals, or do we see the version of the Rams that played against the Seahawks or Cardinals? So I think we have potential to win out the rest of these games. I would like to see that, but
Yeah.
it honestly just depends on, I feel like, Sean's play calling. Because in my opinion, like you said many times, this team has a lot of talent. So I'm really struggling to see where it's going wrong. I mean, we have the pieces. I mean, there's some injuries, yes. There's some positions where it could be better. But overall, our team's really good on paper. So I don't understand why we're faltering as much as we are.
Yeah.
And with the Rams fans that are saying Sean needs to go, that's just like blasphemy. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's Sean McVay. That's the same dude that took us to the Super Bowl twice. How many times did we go to the Super Bowl with Jeff Fisher? I mean, like,
how many times did we go to the Super Bowl with Mike Martz as the head coach? I mean, once.
Exactly. So
It's
we can't be saying Sean McVay needs to go. I mean, yeah, he hasn't had
it's
his best
silly.
year, in my opinion, but there's not that's not a reason to give up on him. Um, so to go back to the point, I see the Rams doing way better this after the bye. I think they maybe can reinvent a little bit on the offense because I do see the offense is getting really bland. Um, and we just don't have that creativity. Like I don't see like where's the play action? I mean, that wasn't that our bread and butter, and I don't see play action at all when
I know.
Stafford's in.
There was no
So
like
I don't.
bootlegs. I mean, Rippen
Yeah.
didn't make it easy, but also, yeah, it wasn't made easy for him either. I don't know. It was, I don't know, pedestrian offense. You couldn't run the ball because they didn't buy Rippen's arm. Like the defense was like, all right, yeah, let's see what your Brett Rippen has. Oh yeah, that's right. You're not going to throw it. That's why we're going to stack 8 and 9 guys in the box the entire game and make you throw it. It's
Yeah,
just
I mean, I don't know what the Rams were thinking at all, not signing a proven quarterback or halfway decent quarterback. I'll take a 1 week playbook Wentz over Rippin like any day.
oh,
I mean,
100%.
yeah, the Rippin is just, I mean, I hate to hate on the guy, but he's just awful. I mean, what we saw, just this is not an NFL caliber quarterback. He probably just made. Honestly, I feel like he got the opportunity he did because of his father. That's what I feel like. Because there's no way. How did this? I mean, I'm not gonna keep going because again, it feels like I'm hating on the guy, but I just don't understand how someone with that talent makes it to the NFL. So that's all I have to say with Rippin and the whole quarterback situation. I hate how they handled that. That was really annoying, especially because they really could have, yeah, they really could have handled that so much better. I don't understand what was the, what was the reason on that. So yeah,
Yeah.
and I also got to really quick credit the defense all season. I mean, I know against the Cowboys it didn't do great, but to take a bunch of, I mean, these guys, if you looked at the Rams roster preseason, a lot of casual fans, a lot of people, everyone outside Rams fans could probably only recognize Aaron Donald. Who are these guys? Is probably what people were asking. And Raheem Morris took a bunch of young players and elevated them to. I mean, I didn't think this defense was going to be this good. Honestly, I thought we were going to be at best a really mid-tier defense, and at worst like bottom scraping defense. And um, I think we're top 15 or top 12 if I'm not mistaken. Not exactly sure, but I mean, there's no way Raheem doesn't get a head coaching job. I mean, you can't be an organization looking at Raheem Morris, looking at the group of players that he had, and then saying, you know, oh yeah, we don't want this guy. I mean, he elevated all of these guys, put them in the best performance. And I mean, yeah, I think Raheem Morris has done amazing. I won't lie, I did not like Raheem Morris at all the first 2 seasons. I wanted that guy gone. And then I remember during the Super Bowl in the playoffs, I'm like, hold on, wait, he's actually not doing that bad. And then the season 2022 season, I was thinking, I mean, I was just frustrated from the Rams in general. I mean, how couldn't you be with all the injuries? And I remember thinking, you know, yeah, like Jake, yeah, you're right. We were in all of those games aside from the Chargers game in 2022. We were in all of those games because of the defense. And now it feels like the same story again when we have a way more talented defense and or I'm sorry, way more talented offense and our guys aren't as banged up as they were as last year. And it feels like the same story again. Our defense keeping us in the game, then our offense fails to do anything, and our defense is brought back immediately, and they're gassed because they've been on the field for so long. So then they let
Yeah.
up a touchdown from how fatigued they are, and then all of a sudden it's the defense's fault. So I just want to shout out the defense, how good they've been doing, and how they really exceeded expectations. Exceeded probably a lot of Rams fans' expectations. I mean, I there's no way I could see the defense doing what they do now.
No, I agree with that. Real quick, last question, because I'm going to bring on Swizzleberry and then call it.
Yeah.
Who are you drafting if they end up picking in the top 10?
If they end up picking in the top 10, that's a good question. I don't watch too much college football. I don't like it. It's just too much offense for me.
I don't
I
blame
like
you.
I like like it really feels like every touchdown is like, you know, is really, really earned in the NFL versus in college. It just feels like playing Madden on rookie mode in college, you know,
Yeah.
in that sort of comparison. So it just feels like things are too simple in college. But I understand people who like it too, like, you know, offense and stuff like that. So I don't watch too much, but what I can say, I would like to see a position group. I would like to see us get is either a tackle, because, you know, um, as much as I like Rob Havenstein, but he is getting older, and we should probably, and tackles are a position that do kind of take a while to progress. There's a few exceptions where they come in and they're already good. I mean, if you
Yeah.
look at the left tackle for the Giants, not Evan Neal, uh, poor dude, that guy's not good. But the other one, I forgot his name. Um, he was already considered a draft bust, and then ended up being like a top 10, top 5 tackle in the league, and I think his third or fourth year. So, I think a tackle of the future, because I want Stafford protected. I love Stafford. I don't want to get rid of Stafford. Not like we could anyways. I don't think he's untradeable with his contract, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, even if we wanted to get rid of Stafford, we can't. But love Stafford. I mean, I'm always defending that guy, and sometimes he makes it hard to defend him, but I'll always be on defending Stafford. I love Stafford so much. Um, so anyways, back to your question. Either tackle or quarterback. And I say quarterback not because I think we're gonna be tanking or we're gonna be awful. I don't think we're gonna get Drake May or Caleb, but I do think this is probably the best quarterback class we've seen in a long time. So I think we have potential to get a really good quarterback. I think there's a lot of really good quarterbacks. Um, I've heard I've heard about the Oregon guy, the Washington State guy, Shadir Sanders, big name too, and those guys might fall later on, and they might fall into our hands in the second round. I hope they do, so we can spend that first pick on a tackle, because tackles get taken very early. But yeah, that's the main two I think we're gonna draft. Another one, maybe edge, depending on how free agency goes. I think we have a good chance of getting Chase Young. I don't see how the Niners can re-sign him with the money, because Nick Bosa is the highest paid defender in all of NFL. I think Christian McCaffrey is the highest paid running back. Debo is, he's been whining for a contract. I mean, and Trent Williams has. Yeah, I just think their team is too expensive to give the contract that Chase Young wants. I feel like.
I agree
I'm
with that.
not saying that I'm not saying the Niners won't resign him. I think that they're gonna try, but I think this is looking like a Von Miller situation for them. Like Von Miller, we tried to resign him, but he held out on us. As annoying as that was, and so I think it's gonna be a Von Miller situation. Uh, you know, it's probably like just their 1 year rental that they get in the trade deadline, because they this is their move to make it to the Super Bowl. This is their push to make it to the Super Bowl. Even though the quarterback play has been kind of questionable recently, but yeah, I think so. Edge too, depending on how the free agency goes, and I mean, honestly, that's who I could see us drafting in the first round.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Dallas Turner, I know, would be one of the edge defender options, but hey, Septic, appreciate you.
It's the Bama guy, right? Dallas Turner.
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah, I've heard he's pretty good too. So,
yeah, no, he definitely
yeah, I've heard
is.
about him.
Yeah, I'll be getting into the draft if you've been following for a while, then you know. But I'll be getting in the draft, and I'll have reports and everything. Probably do solo videos on certain prospects. So be aware,
Awesome.
there's gonna
Can't
be a
wait.
lot of those.
I hope so. I honestly rely on your videos when it comes to draft prospects because I don't watch college at all.
Oh well, I appreciate that. I'll do my best. As per usual, I'll try my best to get the best content out there possible. But hey, appreciate you, and we'll have to talk soon. Hopefully, next time we talk, it's a Rams win.
Yep. All right. Thank you for having me on, Jake. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. You take care.
All right. You too. Bye, Jake.
All right, bye. All right, Swizzle. First off, I would like to thank you for the 50 gifted subs. You are the man, and welcome to JE Live again.
Oh, thank you. And of course, dude, thank you. You doing this show, especially on these days, is rough.
Oh yeah, it's definitely feels like a full-time job when they lose.
Yeah. So yeah, when we're having a season like 2021, it's fun.
Yes.
And it's great. And a season like this season, I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah, not quite the I don't know, not quite the dream come true, so to speak. But hey, you know what? I keep just thinking, we're getting better each year. At least I know I am. And as I continue to build momentum, more people are going to follow. And then as the Rams get better and better and better, more people are going to follow. And it's just like, I need this experience. I need to go through this, not just as a fan, but as a creator, because if I go through this as a creator, it's going to get me ready for the times, because it's a cycle. We know how the NFL works. And years down the road, when I'm doing this in my 50s or whatever, I know that I'll be ready now when, the team is like really bad or whatever. So, I think that's how I'm looking at it. It's just kind of like a learning experience. And yeah.
And realistically, if you happen to try and build a channel in the middle of like a dynasty, that's going to be a little harder.
Yes, it is.
Building it now, and then when the dynasty hits, you'd be one of the top people. That's, at least it's harder mentally, but it as far as strategy wise, it works out very well. Just pretty decent timing.
That's a good point. I started Downtown Rams in 2016 before they became good. So you had the 4-12 season, and then they get McVay, who is somebody that I pounded the table for, had multiple articles on, and people said I was crazy because he's a frat boy, and that's worked out well. So yeah, I mean, you build the momentum. I do feel like 2021, there probably should have been a little bit more growth, but I kind of went back to the drawing board. I'm like, well, what did I not do? And, I used it as self-reflection, and, sure enough, I feel like I didn't put out enough solo videos. I think I went full on live stream, and just looking at the analytics and able to like review that, you see things like, okay, I could have done this. I didn't do this, whatever. And yeah, I've been using everything that I've done content creator wise, Swizzle, as like a learning experience. It's just like, and experimenting entirely, just deciding to move everything off the channel except for Rams until I get big enough to the point where the algorithm doesn't punish me, So stuff like that.
Yeah, that stuff's massive. But
yeah,
on side of the Ram stuff, I have to say I was probably wrong about Brett Rippen. I don't think he's a top 100 quarterback. But I'm hoping that he might still be top 150.
There's a chance. I mean, I'm not saying that Tutu Atwell would have been better, but I'm not saying he wouldn't have been better either.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think any player outside of the quarterback position would have been better overall, but man, it is a struggle to watch him throw a ball to Cooper Kupp when he is wide open,
and just miss him.
and most quarterbacks nail that throw. Just get him right on the sideline, catches the ball, we get 25 yards, move on to the next play, and he's just way underthrown.
And like, I gave him credit. He had 3 great throws, but aside from 3 great throws, the rest were bad. I gave him credit for his mobility. I mean, the guy tried. I just think the problem is, and this is a guy that I loved, by the way. Loved him coming out of Boise State. I loved his moxie. I loved his pocket mobility. I love that he was fearless.
Oh, he's still fearless.
Yeah, he's still fearless. He still has the
that's
moxie.
still there, which is
he's,
great.
You know, but I don't know, man. I think it was frustrating because going into this game, I swear I sound like the biggest broken record ever, but going into this game, I kept saying, or not this game, but just, you know, week 1. I've been saying since week 1, sign Carson Wentz, sign Colt McCoy, sign this quarterback, sign this guy, Joe Flacco, not Nick Foles. He had 4 interceptions last year, no touchdowns. He's done. But, you know, I kept saying sign these guys, maybe trade for Dobbs, things like that. Nothing. They had genuinely no plan. No plan at all for the backup spot. They're like, Stetson Bennett is our ride or die. And then when he gets put on NFI, they were like, oh, well, the 3rd string quarterback that didn't make the 53-man roster, well, he could be our backup. And it was just like, here's the thing that bothers me. You had Wolford, you had Perkins, you had Mayfield last year. Mayfield goes and becomes a starter. Nothing you could do there, right? But Perkins and Wolford could have been brought back for pennies. They didn't bring those guys back because they wanted somebody new. And this is what happens. This is what you get. Rippen was not better than either of those two. I think there's a chance Perkins wins today. And I know for a fact Wolford wins today. And Stafford, let's say 80% healthy, wins by multiple possessions. And that's what bothers me. Probably more than anything.
Ridiculous is I think you're right, and I absolutely do not want to see Wolford back in a Rams uniform.
But, you know, the Seahawks game last year at SoFi, he gave him every opportunity to win that game. And that's all you can really ask for. I mean, McVay had him going down the field, operated the offense the same way. This is not the same offense. This is not the same offense. They tried similar things, but, you know.
Right. My frustration with him was seeing the high throw that Cooper Kupp comes with, and then that's when he gets hit low at the ankle, and that's what took out Cooper Kupp last year.
Yes, that was frustrating.
And that's one where it's like,
well, that's
I might
what
be
it
holding
is.
that against him. I might like, but
that got him sent out of LA.
Ball, yeah, an inaccurate ball gets your players injured, and that's the biggest risk. And realistically, we keep getting into the situation where, I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020. You would hope that McVay learns his lesson of not having only 2 quarterbacks on roster.
I hope, but you know, it's weird because it's like I blame McVay, I blame, you know, anyone who was in charge of him being the backup quarterback. I blame them. At the same time, I don't blame McVay for the play calling because you have to understand, what are you going to do? The defense doesn't respect Rippen. So you can't run the ball. It's that simple. Like, you have to run the ball because you have to, you know, establish some sort of running game. But the defense just had you by the balls. And essentially, like, you played right into it, you know?
Yep.
And it's just like, I don't know, the two turnovers, not getting points on that, just unbelievable, man. Especially, I think it was the Akella one where they were like right in territory. It was like 30-yard line or whatever. How do you not get points on that drive?
Well, that's the one that got me, or like the Discord was going off like crazy, is how do you get a kicker that nails a 52-yarder and then you have a chance for a 53?
And then you're like, no,
you don't take it.
What gets me, and this is Twitter, and this is why I think I'm going to take a little break. And what I mean by break is I'm just not going to tweet as much.
It's good to do every so often.
Yes, it's because I tweeted out the same thing They should have kicked the field goal, the 53, 54-yarder, whatever. They should have kicked the field goal. And then time goes by, right? And as you know, he attempts a lesser field goal later on, and he misses it. And then everyone starts going back to the 54-yarder, like, this is why, fans don't, their opinions are always wrong, or this is why Jake doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'm like, okay, so let me ask you this. What would you have said if he made the field goal?
Yeah, it would have been the opposite way. But the problem with the 48-yarder was conditions ended up getting worse because this game was on and off raining.
You can't tell me the conditions were the same when he was kicking the 54-yarder, potentially kicking the 54, right?
It wasn't raining at that moment.
Yeah, but no one brings it up.
In the moment of the 48, it was raining.
Because God forbid people think critically.
That's when I would rather see a punt or you just go for it.
Yeah.
At that point, just get rid of it and try and put them on the field as fast as possible to deal with the bad conditions.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing hey, we have an opportunity where it's good conditions to take this shot. Let's go for it and just decide to give it away. And that's where, that's the part where, on decision making is you had one of those windows to take that long field goal and you just let it pass you.
Yeah, really frustrating because, I will say this. I am kind of when it comes to baseball, I am so tired of analytics. I'm so tired of analytics to the point I'm tired of the word analytics. But football, I think it's time for McVay to get somebody in there that's in his ear. And maybe there is somebody, but he needs to listen to the analytics. How many times has he has he not gone for it when there's been an opportunity where the numbers show that he should have gone for it? I feel like he's always kicking field goals or punting. It's he doesn't go for it as much. When he does go for it, he calls the jet sweep to your fourth receiver. He just
fell in love with the play since the Super Bowl.
But yeah, exactly.
On the
but
final drive is that worked then. Why doesn't it? It's I don't want to see it again after we made it in the most meaningful game.
That was so ballsy, and people don't understand. You need to have a huge block thrown on that play. Bryson Hopkins saves that play by making that block.
Yeah,
and you
100%.
Also run that with Cooper Kupp. You're not even running that with Puka Nacua. Ben Skoranek is the slowest receiver on the team. Why are you running it with the slowest receiver on the team?
That was my complaint of out of all people, why are you have so many playmakers on this roster that are still healthy. Why is Ben Skoranek touching the ball when you need the first down?
I don't get it. I don't know why. I think there are multiple times where they killed Darrell Henderson's rhythm. He had back-to-back good, 4-yard carries or 5-yard carries, and they took him out. And they took him out for an entire series and a half, and then they'd put in Freeman, and if Freeman got stopped, then we'd see we'd see Henderson, a series and a half later, and he would get, right off the rip, he's getting guys right up the middle, and he can't run or anything. It was it felt to me again, it's hard because they're stacking the box, but I felt like even when they should have run, they didn't. When they shouldn't have run, they did. And it was a collective disaster. They should have won this game. I know it sounds weird to say for a 23 win, or 23 loss, but this defense played their absolute tail off. And I don't even know what to say. I really don't. I think they're going to bounce back, though. I think with Matthew Stafford, I don't know if you'll agree with me on this. Matthew Stafford not only wins this game, they blow out the Green Bay Packers. I think the Packers are terrible. I'm going to be honest with you. I think they're a terrible football team.
I have them in my bottom 5.
Yeah, they are awful. That's why I picked the Rams to win. It wasn't that I was thinking, oh, the Rams are going to do this whole crazy miracle David versus Goliath thing. No. The Packers are a Goliath by name. If you're not paying attention in the NFL and you're picking the Packers to win in a blowout, you clearly haven't been watching the NFL since Aaron Rodgers was traded.
Didn't they give up a Matt Ryan style comeback to the Falcons this year already?
Yeah, they did. They gave up a comeback to Desmond Ridder. And they had a crazy comeback to beat the Saints, but I mean that was right after Derek Carr was knocked out of the game.
Yeah, and losing your number one quarterback can do that.
I mean, how many times it's like TCU last year. God, I'm not trying to piss anybody off because I'm sure somebody in here likes TCU, but as a Kansas fan, seeing them knock out Jalen Daniels and then just every win they had, like the rest of the year, they were just knocking quarterbacks out left and right. I was like, man, I know they're probably not doing it on purpose because these are student athletes. I don't think they're actually doing it on purpose, but it kind of rubs you the wrong way. And that was kind of the thing, like with the Packers. It's like they knocked out They knocked out Carr, and it was like they won because of that. It's like they got so lucky. And I like Packers fans for the most part, but a guy that I had respect for a little bit more than I did now was like running his mouth on Twitter, like kind of obnoxiously, like where it's not even fun anymore almost. And was like, yeah, like there's no way Stafford would have beat us. And he's like, better than your trash Rams or whatever. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, like, is this a simulation? What world am I living in right now? We have a Packers fan talking smack when they're 2-5 and they're barely beating Brett Rippen. Like, what am I witnessing right now?
And it's clear that Brett Rippen was the reason the Rams lost.
So clear.
Like,
I mean, the Packers were so bad. The fact they only scored 20 with Brett Rippen turning the ball over at the beginning of the game, mind you, like the way he did, and just the interception and God, this defense just got stop after stop. And then, of course, you have the people complaining because they didn't stop them on the final drive. And it's like they're down by 17. Like, it didn't matter if they did or not.
Yeah. And at that point, like, you're putting them in a position. The same conversation as last year is like, okay, how many times do they need to make a stop in order for the offense to put up some points?
Yeah. It just... This week was rough, though. I mean, you had the Rams, you had Cam Akers suffering a torn Achilles.
That's terrible.
I feel so bad for him because I don't want to speculate, but that could be the end of his career. Like, to come back from 2 Achilles tears, I don't know.
One of my best friends is a Minnesota fan, and that's the thing I was saying with him was like, that could be the end of it, and I really hope it's not, especially because he never got a second contract.
Yeah, and this is why running backs want to get paid. I mean,
yeah,
they carry the ball,
and they deserve it.
And then keep them on the position you're being put in when you get the ball carry. You know, so say you get the carry now, like Cam Akers, he takes a false step, a guy jumps on top of his back, and now a lot of pressure being put on that Achilles. So. Yeah, it's really unfortunate with that. Another one I have to say, the game just ended. The Raiders just destroyed the Giants, but it sounds like Daniel Jones might have a torn ACL.
Oh my God!
So it's like, yeah, brutal week. You don't want to see that. I mean, you just don't want to see injuries and just not fun. And yeah,
well, you also see the same thing in the Minnesota game. You have KJ Osborne left for an insane hit, and Jaron Hall,
my guy Jaron Hall, who I
was excited to watch him play, and then all of a sudden he's out.
I was too, and I'm gonna say this, and I know I'm gonna get flack for it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. If I was the Rams GM, I would have drafted Jaron Hall over Stetson Bennett. But I
don't think anyone's gonna argue it now. Looking at the situation, like we haven't seen him active on game day.
No, it sucks because Jaron Hall was off to a good start, and then he was running, and God, these concussions, man. Sometimes it doesn't even look like it's that big of a hit, and it's just like the way that the head whips back sometimes,
And what's crazy? Well, yeah, there's that. What's crazy though is this reminds me of when I was in the gym watching the draft, and I still remember my gut reaction of that Rams drafting Stetson Bennett. And I just remember looking confused at the TV, just going, why?
Yeah, I mean...
It makes somewhat sense on paper, but it felt like the wrong time.
Were you... did you watch the draft show that I did?
On and off. I was in there with watching you and Alexis for probably like 30-40% of it.
Got you. So I actually was the first one to report the Bennett pick. And so I broke it on the air, and Alexis, I just saw her face and I was like, okay, she's not happy. I was just like, all right, I think the Rams just acquired Stetson Bennett. I'm just looking to confirm. And like, yeah, but Stetson Bennett. And she's like, oh no, like she didn't want Stetson Bennett. I wanted Jaren Hall. When I watched the tape, I thought Jaren Hall had, legitimate franchise quarterback upside. Stetson was like a spot starter for me, where, you talk about, I don't know, like a Chase Daniel with mobility, somebody like that. Obviously,
someone that, if he was active, probably would have won today.
I think they win with Stetson Bennett today. I do. Because you're not scared to just let Stetson Bennett rip it, right? You don't want him to turn the ball over, but you're not scared to let Stetson Bennett put himself in position to turn the ball over. You're scared about
good
ripping.
Moments in the preseason.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe 9 weeks of development.
And I think he hurt his shoulder, to be honest with you. I don't think he was healthy the last 2 games, but I think, and I talk to, my co-host all the time, Cam Lynch, and it's like, if you're a non-top 3 round draft pick, or you're a UDFA, you don't want to go to the team and be like, hey, I injured something, and get placed on IR, miss all of those reps in training camp, practice, preseason, and so it's tough, man. It's really tough. And it's one of those things where it's like, you'll have a lot of these players, like, I don't know if you remember 2017, a buddy of mine, friend of the Downtown Rams podcast, Kayvon Webster, at the end of the season, he came out and said he was playing with a torn labrum in his shoulder. So the whole season. So, it's, you don't want to come off the field. It's next man up league. You can easily be forgotten about. He signed a 1-year prove-it deal with the Rams. So, he had an opportunity to go and retest the market. And it sucks, Yeah.
I mean, you're in a position is like, why would you even try to open that door to get taken off the field? Because if you're in that position, you may never know if that's the last experience you have with the team. That could be it, and just ending your career right there just by reporting it.
Yeah.
And that's tough. I mean, people do it all the time in other jobs. If I report this, I could be fired.
No, I mean, that's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's different, but it's the same concept.
Yeah.
So
and that's the
sucks.
thing is it's like, hey, I still need a job, and this is the best paying thing I know, so I better just figure it out.
Exactly. No doubt at all. I mean,
it's rough.
No,
but
it is rough. As far as
this team, I'm very close. I want to see how they do against the Seahawks, but I'm very close to just writing this year off as yet another extended preseason.
Okay. I think if they lose to the Seahawks, this team goes 7-10, and that's not bad. It's not what I want, but it's not bad. You can build off 7-10.
Yeah, I mean, there's still wins on the calendar. There's still situations where they're going to figure out and chain maybe a couple together, and it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
But it's still it's frustrating as a fan, because obviously, I mean, everyone wants to see their team go 17-0 and win the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's not always a possibility. I mean, look, I didn't think this was a Super Bowl team, but I did think this team was good enough to, win 10 games, and now that's in doubt. And so, they might underperform based on where I had them, but it's not the end of the world. I just want them to be competitive, and I stand by it. I mean, think about this: if they finish 7-10. Or if they finish 8-9, that pretty much puts me at where I had them at 10-7. And the reason I say that is because it's not like, oh yeah, they could have done this. I will say all season long, they had no business losing to the Bengals and the Steelers. Those are two games that, haunt you. And that's the difference between 10-7 and 8-9. That's the difference between, 12-5 and 10-7. That's the difference between 5-12 and 7-10. I mean, people don't realize that. And the good teams win those games, and the average teams lose them. The bad teams don't even come close to even being in them. And that's why I don't believe the Rams are a bad team, like everyone else does, because there's a lot of people that say the Rams are bad, but if the Rams are bad, then why aren't they losing 30-6 like the Giants are, seems like weekly now? I don't think they're a bad team. I will say things that didn't help today for the Rams. Things that did help, by the way, Seahawks getting eviscerated was good. It didn't matter how much they lost. That was just cool to see. But, Seahawks losing is a good thing.
That's always fun.
Yes. Seahawks losing is a good thing. The Bears, if they were able to sneak that out against the Saints, would have helped. The Texans beating the Buccaneers, that could have playoff implications. So that was huge because, I mean, anytime, rule of thumb, NFC team plays AFC team, root for the AFC team. Okay, no doubt about it. You never know how things are going to go. The Vikings being the Falcons, that's interesting because the Vikings don't have a really terrible schedule. It's kind of easy up until the last two games.
They were my pick to win the NFC North.
Oh wow, mine was the Lions. I'm very high on them, but
I think it's going to be they're going to compete for it, but I think the Vikings beat them out. I trust their coaching more than the Lions coaching primarily.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess
you
it wasn't that bad
on the
of a
offense
day.
and Brian Flores on the defense.
Yeah.
That's a brutal combo.
It wasn't that bad of a day now that I think about it. Like, yes, the Vikings won. But I mean, like the Commanders being the Patriots, I don't think the Commanders are that good. The Rams will probably beat the Commanders unless they blow it. The Saints, I mean, they can win the division theoretically. It doesn't get in the Rams' way. You have to be one of those final three teams, and Dallas has it locked up because right now Dallas just lost this game. They're 5-3, right? So they lose this game, being 5-3, and the Rams being 3-6. I mean, they have to essentially now hope.
I personally
Dallas,
think it's the Vikings or Lions that are going to take the other wild card spot. Dallas takes probably the 5 seed.
Well, yeah, no, I think
6
Dallas has the 5 seed locked up. I don't think there's anybody that really that close. I mean, well, let me check. Let's see.
Where are they at?
Playoff. Okay. So the Rams fell from 9 to 12 today. Pretty big fall. Eagles are 1, Lions are 2, Niners are 3, Saints are 4, Cowboys are 5, Seahawks
the biggest
are
competition
6.
for the 7 seed is the Seahawks.
Well, so the Seahawks and Vikings both have 5 wins. 8 seed Commanders are 4-5. They play the Rams. 4-5 Falcons do not play the Rams. The 3-5 Bucks don't play the Rams. The Packers are 3-5. They now have the tiebreaker over the Rams. I'm not worried about that. The Packers are terrible. They are absolutely atrocious. They're not making the playoffs. They're not a team you have to worry about. They got the Lions again. They got the Vikings again. They have the Chiefs. The Steelers next week. I think the Steelers win that game. Chargers. Yeah. I'm not worried about the Packers. So if the Rams are trying to make the playoffs, I know they're 12th right now, but I think they're ahead of the Packers. Packers won because Stafford wasn't healthy. The Buccaneers, who they got, let's see.
And the reality is, if we're looking at this season, we're only, what?
The Buccaneers have, I think, 3 more
Week
losses
9?
on their schedule, for sure.
So week 9, we have 9 games that have played. There's 8 games left. That's a lot of football.
Yeah. Buccaneers had the Niners, Colts. Titans game is interesting now with Levis. I feel like they're now in every game. Just like the thought of Levis being there gives them a shot. The Saints they have left, and they have the Jags. So the Bucks could they could lose those games. I mean, think about that. 6 losses with the Niners. They lose Indianapolis. That would be 7 losses. And then they got Jacksonville. They lose that. That's 8. And then they lose the Saints game. That would be 9. Titans game would be 10. I don't know. I kind of feel like Tampa's that fool's gold, if you will. They can look really good. They have a hard time finishing games. Obviously, today shows that. The Falcons, they have a kind of interesting little schedule because they got the Cardinals coming up. They have the Saints. They have the Jets. I mean, December 3rd, Aaron Rodgers could be back for that. I mean,
if he comes back at December 3rd, I'd say he's not 100%.
Yeah, but that might be good enough to beat the Falcons, especially the Falcons on the road in the elements, December in New Jersey. I'll go with the Jets. Panthers could beat the Falcons in Carolina.
As much as I hate on Aaron Rodgers, I still don't want to see him go back and get re-injured.
The Saints, they finished the season in New Orleans. I mean, I think New Orleans is going to win the division. I feel pretty good about that now. Carolina's done. They're competing with Arizona for the first pick, which is going to go to the Chicago Bears anyway.
Which is insane.
I know. Such a good trade by the Bears. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Seahawks have one of the craziest schedules you'll see. The Vikings got a flex schedule. They're getting a primetime game against the Bengals. That just got flexed. So, oh my God, Sunday Night Football, Vikings Broncos. Why? That's in 2 weeks.
Sucks.
Yeah. I mean, the Vikings can beat the Saints, but I mean, like the Raider game in Vegas is interesting. The Bengals game, they got the Lions twice again. The Vikings aren't a guarantee. And then who else do we have ahead of the Rams? The Commanders, the Rams play. Commanders play the Seahawks next week. I think you'd probably want to root for Seattle, I would imagine. Or you probably don't want to root for the Commanders to beat Seattle. But then, I mean, they got the Cowboys still. They got the Dolphins, the Rams, the Jets, the Niners, the Cowboys. Yeah, Commanders aren't going anywhere. This team has a giant freaking roadblock. So eliminate the Commanders. The Falcons, I'd honestly eliminate the Falcons. Tampa doesn't look that great.
Commanders need a total rebuild and rebranding.
I mean, let's be honest here.
Different.
If the Rams turn this thing around, okay? Like, if the Rams turn this thing around, the Cowboys are locked in at the 5 seed. I mean, I kind of feel like the top 4 is really what we're going to see moving forward. Like, that's locked in. The Eagles, Lions, 49ers, Saints, Cowboys. Top 5, excuse me. The last 2 are intriguing because to be honest right now, like the Rams have a golden opportunity to get in that 6 or 7 seed. Because I'm looking at these schedules and I'm like, I mean, Seattle's got it freaking rough, man. This is why I'm like, today it's not over because you got Seattle has the Rams upcoming. So if they lose that to the Rams have the tiebreaker. You can't take it away from them. If they lose to the Commanders and the Rams, they'd be 5-5 going against the 49ers twice left on their schedule. The Cowboys, the Eagles, the Titans, the Steelers.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is what I keep saying. This is why I can't in good conscience lie to the audience just for the sake of it being the popular opinion. This team is not done. It's not.
No.
Like, this is not a good NFC. I've said it since the beginning of the year. This NFC is terrible. It's so bad.
Yeah. And there is still a legitimate chance that they make the playoffs. My frustration to the team as of right now is I just don't see them competing in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I don't really care about them not competing in the playoffs. I want them to get there, and and I'll be honest with you, I'm a bigger draft nut than most people that want to tank, right? I don't care what they pick in the first round. If they
I
have a
don't
first round
either.
pick, we're fine. That's how I feel. Because with a first round pick, you know what they're gonna do? They're not even gonna pick. Probably they're probably gonna trade down.
They're going to do what they did last time, which
They're probably going to trade down. They're probably going to package picks, get some seconds, maybe a third or something, and yeah, like then you'll have a late first round pick anyway.
or if some generational talent falls to the pick, they'll take the pick.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would love to see, because one thing that gets to me is that the main thing we need to really be looking towards is how the team's built and to be ready for a rookie or young quarterback.
Yeah.
We got to build up offensive line and pass rush.
By the way, we're going to have every strength of schedule tiebreaker if it comes to that, except for Tampa. It's the only team that has a tougher strength of schedule in the NFC.
Jeez.
Rams 542. That's insane. Yeah,
that's not.
I mean,
and
look at
that's
the Rams teams though that they've played. I mean,
and that's the thing too, is when you look at people saying the defense is playing poorly, is they're actually playing really good for their strength of schedule.
yeah, I mean, what? So the Packers are 3-5. The Steelers are 5-3, right?
Yep.
I think the Packers are the first. Aside from the Cardinals, I think the Packers are the only below 500 team that the Rams have played. Cowboys are above 500. Steelers are above 500. Eagles, Colts, Bengals, 49ers, Seahawks. Yeah. I don't know how you could look at this schedule and just be like, yeah, there's no excuses. The Rams should have won those games. Like, I mean, like
no team was a slouch. Like, and that's the thing, is like there was no.
Oh, never mind. The
like,
Colts are 4-5.
Maybe no Cardinals. Cardinals are.
Yeah, the Colts are 4-5. They're going to Germany next week against the Patriots. That's a weird showcase game. Patriots are 2-7, by the way.
2-7?
2-7. Yep. They are. Oh my God, dude. I actually said this. Victor Wembanyama went to Greg Popovich. What if Caleb Williams goes to Bill Belichick? He's right. They're right in it. They're right in it. They are right in the thick of it. The Cardinals, are they going to take a quarterback? I don't know. Carolina,
they should.
They don't have the pick. Goes to the Bears. Do the Bears? Are they going to stick by Justin Fields, Bagent? What are they going to do? I don't know. Giants now just had a mid-season ACL tear for their franchise quarterback. They're paying $140 million to. So, like, I don't know.
But that's the thing I was looking at, was that whenever Stafford decides to retire,
yeah,
obviously we're going to need to have someone step in. And the biggest thing to prepare for when you have a young quarterback that needs to get going, you need solid receivers. You need hopefully a good running back, which we have that locked in for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully Kyron stays on longer than his rookie deal. He's been looking good. And we just need to find upgrades on the offensive line somehow. And I believe over the course of 2 years, that's possible. And that's really it. And I like, if we look at it that way, and if I'm hoping that's how they're trying to do this actual rebuild, whatever they want to call it, we'll definitely be more competitive next year. But man, we need to be ready for transitioning away from Stafford. Otherwise, we're going to be in some serious trouble after that.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at round 2. I think that would probably be the move to go with a quarterback then.
I mean, especially with this draft.
Yeah. I mean, I like Shadir Sanders. I know a lot of people don't. I personally do. I don't think it's really fair, the hate he gets, because it's just because of his dad. I don't think his dad is overly, I don't think he's too much. It's funny, the double standard, because I remember when I wanted Josh Jackson. Now, I'm not saying I was right, but I wanted Josh Jackson on the Lakers. Obviously, I'm a Kansas fan, to be fair. But still, I did not want Lonzo Ball. I didn't want Lonzo Ball. It had nothing to do with LeVar Ball. I mean, LeVar Ball didn't help, right? But the same people that have an issue with Deion Sanders and why they don't like Shedeur Sanders, those same people were telling me how, like we got to draft Lonzo Ball and had no issue with LeVar Ball because, UCLA. So it's like, I don't know. I don't like the double standard there.
I'm opposite perspective. I'm not a fan of LeVar Ball at all.
Yeah, no, I don't like him either.
Well,
I don't dislike him. I don't know him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, I look at it and go, okay, I'm not a fan of you on the sports side of it, and I've never heard of you until, your son came on the scene.
Yeah. So
probably not someone I really care to follow. But then Deion Sanders, like, prime example is like, I don't know how you can not like Deion Sanders, but I mean, he's one of the legends of the game.
No, I agree.
And even showing himself as, quite frankly, I mean, I'm finding myself becoming more of a fan of him as a coach because it's like, okay, he can probably be that guy that can help people develop. Like,
people don't like that no nonsense culture though. Like he's no nonsense. He's just straight. Like he's not by the book. He's just like he's a straight shooter.
Yeah. You don't have to think about like where he stands on anything. He's just going to tell you. It's just so easy.
Exactly. So I don't know, man. But man, we are off the rails here. I'm probably gonna go and get some water. I haven't had anything to drink in 3 hours. We just hit the 3 hour mark. But Swizzle, appreciate you and everyone who has tuned in, and just letting everyone know, since it is the bye week and I do want to put out some content. I will. With the Rams. I don't know what kind of content that'll look like. But I will say this, there's going to be a lot more video game streaming on Kick. I'm going to get back in my rhythm for this, this week anyway. Off season, plenty of time to do that. Probably going to have, it's actually going to be cool. The draft breakdowns, the film breakdown, I'll be able to do that on Kick, which will be cool. So that's going to open up a whole new perspective essentially, because I'll be able to do that. Yeah. But anyway, appreciate you, Swizzle. Thank you again so much, man, for the gifted. Really means a lot. And, it doesn't go unappreciated and unnoticed. I really do appreciate it. And, this has been fun. I mean, it almost took my mind off the fact they lost. Oh man. All right, I got all caps, more 2024 content, please. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to see. Here's the thing. I don't want to jump the gun and alienate the people who are still like, hey, there's 8 more games left. Because, by the way, I am that person. There's still 8 more games left. But so yeah.
I mean, they're never out of it until they're mathematically eliminated. So
yeah, it's going to be a playoff machine season. I said this, like, when they lost to Dallas, I was like, okay, playoff machine. You're going to have to sit there. If you're really interested, you're going to have to sit there and try to find different ways for them to get, make the playoffs.
I mean, that part's always fun and entertaining. Like, you don't get that really anywhere else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I guess my guy Jack just reminded me, I see on the Kick stream there, 5 days until we get Modern Warfare 3. So I'll probably be streaming that for sure. Alan Wake 2 could be another one. I think Spider-Man I'm done with because I'm almost 100%ed it. Until New Game Plus comes out, then I'll probably stream that or something. But yeah, just going to be kind of a chill week, videos and gaming, and maybe film breakdown. Again, like when we have these lopsided losses, I don't know how much people really want to watch that in all 22. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Yeah, it's rough.
But anyway, I'll see you guys. Also, I'm posting the Bleacher Report rapid reaction live stream I did on YouTube, so you'll be able to find that after this. It'll publish probably in the next 30 to 40 minutes, maybe even earlier. So look out for that. But that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I'll see you all soon. Later, folks.